We're talking hockey. Ronzi and Rupper talking hockey. Teams are making moves.
Hello and welcome to That's Hockey Talk. It's a beautiful night for talking hockey on the internet. I am your host, Nick Moraldo. That beautiful voice you just heard, our pal of pals, our north of the border friend at Bubba Gumpino. Gumpy, how you doing, brother?
All is well after a 4-0 drubbing by the Toronto
Oof.
Maple Buds. Ooh.
That
Tough
hurt, man.
night for Texas hockey. That other voice you just heard, of course, is our resident Stanley Cup champion, our Game 7 goal-scoring hero, Mike Rupper. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing well, fellas. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy shit happening in the league right now, right? We got games on now, but I'm sure you're going to get to it right now. There's been breaking trades left and right. Things are finally starting to heat up for the deadline come Monday. It's good.
Is there going to be anybody left at this point? Stuff's going down today. Literally, as we were clicking go live on this show, stuff started coming through. We got Callie Yarncrook heading from Seattle to Calgary. Calgary beefing up the Flames, kind of trying to strengthen that middle six part of their lineup. And the big news, who is going to be one of the most coveted defensemen on the market, Ben Sherratt from Montreal. Looks like he's going to Florida. We're waiting on the return to see.
It's a good get.
It is. And Rupper came on Pat's show earlier today, and we kind of previewed the trade deadline a little bit, just some casual conversation about it. And as we were talking then, a trade broke. It was Frankie Vetrano from Florida to New York. New York, obviously, with a ton of cap space, $30 million in cap space. Florida right up against it. So you kind of mentioned it, Rupper. This Vetrano trade was probably a precursor to Florida trying to add a little space to do something, because it's interesting. You don't see a team in Florida's position usually dealing players like that. You're buying. You're not necessarily selling, which, I'm not going to call them sellers, but moving a player out. Good thinking on your part. Precursor to something bigger. Now we see it. It's Ben Sherratt going to Florida, which is a massive pickup for that team.
Yeah,
Dude,
I guess.
Sorry to cut you off. We got an absolute fucking dust up in Minnesota.
I see. I don't see the.
It's a war. It's a war. These two guys, dude. They were throwing bombs for like a minute and a half.
Duhaime and Trent Frederick. I'm just seeing the names. I don't see it. Were they chucking them?
Holy shit, it was like a minute long. When I went like this, that's when it started. It fucking just ended, dude. I'm sorry.
Wow. Hey, Frederick is not scared.
No, I didn't know that Duhaime had that in him. So I'm interested to see this thing now. But that Trent Frederick, remember, he kind of like he has some game in him too. But remember, he was the big one that stepped up with Tom Wilson, right? And that was kind of like his coming out party. So Trent Frederick can certainly handle himself. We'll get that video up, and I'm gonna check this out soon. But yeah, man, no. In regards to Sherratt to Florida, I mean, Florida, if they had one thing that I think they needed to tighten up, they needed to add on the back end. And the Ben Sherratt, and we talked about it on the show, and it's been all over the NHL, where like Ben Sherratt's that big stay-at-home, mean defenseman.
He's a mean son of a bitch.
Yeah, he could play top four, but he could slide near fifth, sixth defense spot too. And we saw what he did in Montreal when they took them to the finals, right? When he was a beast. He was an absolute beast in those playoffs. So this team, who already has a little bit of everything, just got a little bit more. And Ben Sherratt, and that's a guy through this trade deadline talk. Are there better players, more talented players that are been rumored to be? Absolutely, but he's like. His price range makes him available for everybody. So I think that there's been the most phone calls on Ben Sherratt. So I'm interested to see what the return is for Montreal. That's why I think they're sitting in. Remember, they sat him out. They sat him out last game because they didn't want him to get injured. So we'll see if we can get the return coming up here in a few minutes and find out if Montreal got a good return or not.
And Rupper's not going to say it, but he absolutely forced the Sharks' hand today and got Thomas Hertl a new deal. So
Rupper did put Tomas Hertl's name on blast out there as a potential candidate to get moved, and then linking him to the Bruins. I think he got a lot of Bruins fans excited. And then a mere couple hours later, he signs a massive monster deal, 8 years, $8 million per. So good for Tomas sticking around in San Jose. Hey, not a bad place to stick around. The team may not be what they once were, but San Jose or Boston? What are you saying? I'm saying keep me in the Bay, keep me in San Jose.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I didn't know if they'd be able to. I know they wanted to. There was no question that if they wanted him or not. It's they have, what is it, like off the top of my head, I think they've got between Carlson, Vlasic, and Burns. I mean, they got like 20 some million tied up in those three guys, and all of them were kind of underachieving, right? So they're strapped with these kind of bad deals. And so I didn't know if they have, so maybe there's probably going to be an issue down the road where they're going to have to be creative to unload more money to do more things with the roster. But that's a guy they couldn't really afford to lose, and they didn't. So there's a lot of Eastern Conference teams that are pissed off right now that they can't get him. Boston being one. We heard him. I mean, I thought he'd be an unbelievable fit for the New York Rangers. I don't think Pittsburgh would be able to fit him in, but if they could, it would be unbelievable. But none of that's going to happen now. He's a San Jose Shark.
Well, you mentioned the Rangers, and let's not wait any longer because I see he is ready to go. So let's get to it. Our guest is getting ready to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready because this is going to be an awesome conversation with an awesome human being. This man played goaltender in the NHL for so many years. He was a stud. He played in Buffalo. He played for the Rangers. He played for the Islanders. He's one of the only men walking this earth to be able to say that he's played for every team in the state of New York. He spent some time with the Flyers too. I'm not going to hold it against him. We still love him for it. You've seen him on TSN. You see him on NHL Network. You hear him on NHL Network on the radio. He covers games for the Sabres. Ladies and gentlemen, legendary goaltender Martin Biron. Marty, thanks for joining us, sir.
Happy to join you guys. And if Rupper says he forced the San Jose's hand on the Tomas Hertl deal, well, I gave Tomas Hertl a platform years ago, what it feels like. 20 years ago, but that was when Hertl scored his fourth goal, the one between the legs. That was on me. And a couple of weeks later, I said, you know what? I'm not good anymore. I'm going to retire now because I'm done with this stuff. So, so maybe there should be a percentage of that 68 million dollars that should come my way.
Shit, Marty, I forgot. We should have, boys, I should have recognized that. We should have said that's a bad word on this podcast right now is Tomas Hertl. Marty sent you into free fall. No, take us through that night. Because I remember
I'll tell you through the night because the night was pretty incredible. So I hadn't played yet this year. So that was the 2013-14 season. John Tortorella got fired after the 12-13 season. So that was a shortened season with the lockout. We lose to Boston in the playoffs. So I haven't played yet that season, right? The training camp was a mess. We went all the way to Calgary and Banff and had a golf tournament out there throughout training camp. And then we came back home, went out to Arizona and did the West Coast thing. And so I'm in San Jose and I'm sitting in the corner because the backup goaltender in San Jose is not on the bench. There's not enough room. So I'm sitting in the corner and I'm being moved around because the camera guy goes, you can't sit here, you can't sit there. I remember stepping on metal. I'm like, this is like just brutal. And Rupper, if you remember, I put like a crap ton of tape around my ankles. So for me to get my skates like off and sharpen and back on took forever. And it was a lot of effort. So I'm like, I don't need to worry about this. I'm not playing tonight. So then it's like, I believe it was early in the second period or maybe late enough. Yeah, it was early in the second period. It was at the opposite end. We give up a goal. Lundqvist gives up a goal. I see Vigneault on the bench kind of waving me in. And I stepped on the ice and literally like I had no edge. Like it was just gone, right? So I go to the net. Then the first commercial break, I go to the bench.
No.
And Cass, our trainer, is like trying to sweet stick my blades. And now they're too sharp. I can barely move. And, it was just a mess, right? But nobody knows that. But I'm like, this is not like NHL. Like in the NHL, I should have been able to take my skates off, get in, sharpen, and go. And now today, I would have just popped the blade up, put a new blade in. It would have been fine. So anyway, I give up a weird goal, give up a couple of goals. We go in the second intermission. I get my skate sharpened, come back on the ice for the third period. By that point, Hertl's got 3. We're down, I don't know, 8-2, I believe. I don't know what it was. And then he comes in and pulls what we call the Marek Malik, right? Because Marek Malik scored that goal in the shootout with the Rangers against Olaf Kolzig back in, what was it, the 05-06 season, I think. So he comes in and pulls the move and celebrates like he had just won the Stanley Cup. And at the time, there's a part of me that was like, I'm
after him.
angry, but I'm
Go
like,
after him, Marty.
well, yeah,
Take
and
his
there was
head off,
guys
Marty.
that kind of went
He
after him, and
couldn't
then
skate with his damn blades, Rupert.
I couldn't really skate after him. But I'm miserable right now. Like, this is not a good start to my season, and I should have just made the save. I'm like, this is gonna be like just on all the highlight reels and whatnot. And then I know it was Joe Thornton, I believe Logan Couture or whatnot. They reached over the boards and talked to some of our guys and says, don't worry, guys, he's not going to be back on the ice. Like, they understood that it was a little disrespectful for 2013. Move 9 years ahead, and it's like, no disrespect. Like, the skills, of the young players, like, show them. If you've got them, flaunt them. And I should have just made the save and moved on. But then I started the game in St. Louis a few days later, did not go well. And then after that, I said, I'm done. That's it. Like, I can't play this game anymore. So I went home and called it a career.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I totally forgot about that. But hey, now you just reminded me of something else too. I think that 4-goal game at MSG for Tomas Hertl, and you mentioned Joe Thornton. Isn't that when he came out with his infamous comments about
no, because that was actually in San Jose, but the infamous comment of Joe
was that
Thornton,
in regards to?
I don't remember.
I thought it was the Hertl 4 goals.
No, it was some other things that happened between the two. I think it was a year or two later. I wasn't there, but I know I remember reading about it. We were just talking about it the other day. And again, I'm getting older, so my brain kind of fries on some of the details of stories I wasn't in. But all the stories that I took part of, I ran into Rupert the other day, Ryan Carter. He was covering the Minnesota Wild. The Wild were in Buffalo. I get in the elevator. I'm like, I remember you. I remember the face-off, the New Jersey Rangers brawl, and they had Cam Jansen and him and Eric Bolton on the ice. We started used to Bickle and Brendan Prost, and it was what a great night that was again. So there was some fun nights, definitely.
Yeah, I ran in a Kartsy in Minnesota on Sunday too. So great dude. It's I got a funny story for you guys on Marty. So Marty and I, Marty was, when I signed with the Rangers, Marty was one of the first guys to welcome me on board, and he was awesome and great friend then and now. And I remember, do you remember Marty when I got you confused with another Marty? In Edmonton? Yeah. So we're out in Edmonton, and I don't remember if we were going to see a movie or going out to dinner.
We were going to see a movie. Yep.
We were going to see a movie in Edmonton. So we're at the hotel there, and we're supposed to meet downstairs, right? And like, say Marty, we're standing there. I'm like, we'd go up and change, and they're gonna come downstairs. We'll meet you in. I'll meet you in 20 minutes, and we'll go to this movie. And so I go upstairs, change. I come down. I'm like, dude, I need a coffee. I got to wake up. So there's a Tim Hortons right down the street. So I start walking to Tim Hortons, and I'm like, I don't want Marty to come down here. It's like I'm like, I don't want Marty to come down here waiting for me. So I just pick up my phone and I type in, how when you search in your phone, like I just put Marty B. And so Marty B comes up, and I dial it, and the phone rings, and it rings like 3-4 times, and it answers, and someone, Marty's clearly sleeping, like he's sleeping. And I hear, hello. I'm like, Marty, what's up, dude? Hey, I'm walking to Tim Hortons. I'll meet you back in the lobby, and we'll go to the movie. I need to get a coffee. And just silent for a second. And he's like, Rupper? I'm like, yeah. He goes, all right, this is Marty. I go, yeah, I fucking know it's Marty. And he goes, no, do you think you're calling Marty Baron? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, I'm like, Marty, fuck off. Like, I'll be back in a few minutes. And he goes, this is Marty Berdor. And I'm like,
no, you woke up, bro.
I woke him up from his pregame nap for the Devils. And I was like, oh, and it was just like this weird moment. I'm sitting there, and he's like, it's Marty Berdor. I'm like, fuck off. And then it dawned on me, like, no offense, Marty, but you got kind of a very distinguishable voice. Yeah. And I'm like, actually, this guy doesn't sound French at all. And I'm like sitting there. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, so hope you're well, bud. You good? And he's like, yeah, I'm just sleeping. I'm like, all right, man, take care. And I talk about, like, what the fuck was that? So it was always funny. I had to change in my phone. I had 2 Marty B's, and I chose the wrong one there. But hey,
You know what? Any stories, right? To tell everybody that you have Marty Brodeur on speed dial, like that is excellent. I love it.
You know what? I want to get into Buffalo Sabres. We could talk a lot of things trade deadline, but this Sabres team over the last week have been in the news. There's been some things. I like your input on it. And we'll kind of circle back on and come full circle them. I love what I'm seeing out of this group. I absolutely love it. And this is the first time probably in a while and that I feel really optimistic about where this franchise is going, where this team's going. But I want to start with last Thursday and Jack Eichel's return. Okay. I remember thinking, I'm like, how is this going to be? How is the response going to be? And you can hear the boos and all that. And I'll say this, and I want to know what you think because you are covering them all the time. You've been involved with that organization for a long time. Post game comes, right? The Vegas loses. They put his video tribute on the board, and he's met with some boos, and that's fine in my opinion. Like fans can express those things, and the one thing that drives me nuts though is like a lot of people are like, oh, well, this franchise has been X, Y, and Z and hasn't done this. This guy's given everything. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that all this stuff that it got real sticky with the neck surgery, that's one thing. But I'm pretty sure he asked for a trade the year before. Yeah. So it's like he wanted out. And Buffalo's a proud city. It might be the greatest fan base in North America. And they weren't happy about it. And Jack's post-game comments to me sounded like an absolute baby. Absolute baby. It was a bad look. And I don't know, man. Where are you on what went down there? And do you think he deserved that?
I'll say this. It did not look good on Jack Eichel after the game. But I'll say two things. One, I think he was not well prepared by the Vegas PR. I don't know. Maybe they did prepare him or not. But the day leading up to it and then the morning skate, Jack is like, oh, I'm sure I'm going to get a really good reception. I hope I do anyway. I hope people remember the good things and this, that, the other thing. And I'm thinking, there's no way you're getting a good reception.
You held this team hostage. Why would they
haven't made the playoffs in 11 years. You were the second overall pick after Connor McDavid, and you were supposed to put him on a pedestal, and it hasn't worked. So I'm like, what's going to happen? And I said it to everybody. They're going to boo Jack Eichel, the hockey player, every time he touches the puck. He'll become the number one villain. Yep. He's probably coming into Buffalo only once a year with Vegas. They're going to buy tickets. They want to go and boo him. But when they put his video tribute on the Jumbotron, people are going to stand and applaud him, and they did, and that was good. And then as soon as he touches the puck again, he gets booed. So I felt like he was not well prepared for what was to happen. And on top of that, you add on the disappointment of losing, the struggling of the Vegas Golden Knights, him since returning, not having any success really collectively. He's had some personal success. He scored a few goals, whatnot, and some points, but I just don't know that he's handled to really I don't know that he's equipped to handle that. Like he's never really had a lot of either obstacles in his hockey career. I mean, he was always a stud and always will be. And now he had some in Buffalo and then he's having some in Vegas. So I just don't know that he was prepared. That's the first thing. The number two thing is that he wasn't even supposed to talk to the media post game. Like the Vegas PR wasn't going to make him available. And then there's a few of the Buffalo media that really made us think about it. And we're like, this is unacceptable. He has to talk. And so they brought him out. And at the same time, you have to also understand if you bring a guy out, you know if he's heated or not heated. And Jack Eichel was heated coming out. He probably didn't want to talk to anybody. And then they said, hey, you got to come out now. And so he's coming out already heated. And they start asking him questions. And he just, he got caught up in the moment. And does he probably regret it? I'm not sure if he regrets it, but I haven't asked him. But he was on edge. I saw him by the locker room the morning of. I asked him a few questions about how he's doing and this, that, the other thing or whatnot. And you could feel he was on edge. So I wasn't surprised that came out like that because, I mean, he was not a happy camper and it just did not come across really well. And the fans in Buffalo now, I mean, they take it to social media and they're like, well, we knew he was a baby. We knew the body language. He's showing his true colors. I don't know that it's to that extent. And I don't want to crap on a guy just because he lost a game in Buffalo and had a bad post-game conference, but I still think he's one of the best player in the NHL. Definitely a top 10, could be a top 5 guy, but these moments really don't make you look good, and that has to change.
It's not going to get any easier. He just set himself up for the rest of his career when he comes in Buffalo for it to be even worse.
They used to hate Tom Brady here in Buffalo with all the wins with the New England Patriots. Now Jack Eichel is the number one villain. I know Brady's unretired, and it doesn't matter. He's playing the NFC. But, I mean, to have Jack Eichel as a bigger villain than Tom Brady in Buffalo now, I mean, that's a pretty big step.
Yeah, it is. You know what? That's the other thing, too, that you said there, and I agree with you. I mean, here's the thing with Jack Eichel. When he's always going to be linked with Connor McDavid, 1-2 in the draft. Connor's career started. I mean, I don't want to say started off. He's been great the whole time, but he started off and just shot up, right? And he was exceptionally a better player than Jack Eichel for a while. And then over the last number of years, the last couple years, when Jack was healthy, he closed that gap. He's not to Connor's level, but he made that gap a little closer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, when this trade went down, I'm like, okay, here we go. These guys are in the same division now. This is going to be a cool storyline moving forward. And I agree. I think that he can be a top 5 player in this league. But what I also know now is this Vegas Golden Knights team, they're dying a slow death right now. I mean, they are. It's not good. And when he's back, he's playing, he's played 15, 16 games. Here's your stage, Jack. Do something with it. I mean, you know what I mean? That you want to.
He has nobody with him, though, and that's tough. And he puts it on his shoulders.
But hold on, he still put up points in Buffalo, and he didn't have anybody with him.
And you're right, but he did have Sam Reinhart at some point. He and Evander Kane had some good chemistry and whatnot, and we can go and revisit that. But here's the thing: 2019-20, the pandemic ends the season in March. Jack Eichel had 38 goals, I believe. He was on pace for well over 40, probably even 45, maybe closing in on 50 if he gets hot. And after that season, so the Sabres fired Jason Botterill, bring in Kevin Adams. Kevin has a meeting with Jack Eichel, apparently, and this is all in the interview with Jack and Elliot Friedman. And Elliot asked Jack, and he said, so you have a meeting with Kevin Adams. What happened? And he said, well, Kevin explained that maybe they were going to rebuild or whatever, and I didn't want to be a part of a rebuild, so I kind of asked politely to say if there's a better fit for me somewhere else. So that's before all the neck issue. That's before all of it. And the fans here in Buffalo, they're smart. They get it. They understand it. And, they'll embrace you if you want to be here. Look at, I'm saying the Buffalo Bills, look at how they embrace Josh Allen. He wants to be here. He wants to play in the snow. He wants to crash through tables. He wants to do everything. Jack wanted to be out. And the fans are going to say, you wanted to be out? Then boo you. And that's really what happened.
Yeah.
Marty, Vegas might need you to bring those pads back out and sharpen those skates up and get in between the pipes. They're hurting in net.
Yeah, they are hurting. And obviously, Rupper, Marc-Andre Fleury will well. And there's rumors a month ago that maybe a, Fleury to Vegas could go. And then it kind of got squashed a little bit. I mean, I don't think Fleury is going anywhere. But you look at the Vegas team from 2-3 seasons ago when they went to the finals or whatnot and what they are now. I cannot understand how this was supposed to be an expansion team that was going to slowly build up, and all of a sudden they got good right away. They go to the finals, they go to conference finals the next year, and the team has completely changed. And you had some really good players that you moved away from, first round picks that you moved away from. And, Marc-Andre Fleury was a big part of their success. They went away from him. I totally understand. They felt like Leonard maybe gave him a better chance. They liked him better. I don't know why. Robin's a good goaltender, but Marc-Andre Fleury was elite. He's a Vezina Trophy winner. I mean, that's elite. And they let him go. I don't get it. And now you're right. Like, is Leonard going to be playing? Now it's a lower butt injury. It was an upper butt injury before. Laurent Brossoit obviously is a backup. He can give you some good games, but not over a long stretch. Vegas is already in money trouble. They can't go and acquire a goaltender. So it is what it is. I mean, they're hanging on for their life right now, and they've got Winnipeg, Dallas. They got Vancouver coming right behind them. This will be very, very stressful for them.
You know what? We just talked. I didn't want all the Sabre talk to be around Jack Eichel because there's a lot of really good things going on.
Yes.
So I want to double back to
Hey,
them
real quick, Rupper, on that note,
Yeah.
I watched the Alex Tuck give I don't know if it was a press conference or just him talking to the media the other day. Man, he was so fired up and excited to be in Buffalo and talk about being a Sabre. That was awesome to watch and
Alex Tuck is a huge part. So I got to know Alex a few years back. He came back to Buffalo for a charity event. And we played a charity game, and I was like, dude, this guy's huge and he can skate and he's strong, and I'd love him in a Buffalo Sabres uniform. Just to find out, he grew up next door to Tim Conley in Syracuse. So Tim Conley's house, Tim Conley's parents' house and Alex Tuck's parents' house are still basically next door to one another. They almost share a driveway, right? So he grew up a Sabres fan because he was a fan of Tim Conley. And playing for Buffalo, obviously, you move on from Vegas, and Vegas was so competitive, and it is Las Vegas. It's a great place to live. And you come to Buffalo, and you may think, wow, he's not going to be happy. He came in, huge smile, loves it here. He just got engaged the other day. This is going to be his life. He wants it to be in Buffalo. And Kevin Adams, the GM, has said, we want people that want to be here.
Yeah.
And they just released, they have on the Sabres YouTube channel, they have this thing called Embedded. And it's basically a behind the scene that our video production people put together. And they did one on Tage Thompson and Peyton Krebs today. And Tage Thompson says the same thing. His wife said the same thing. Like, we see ourselves living here for a long time. Peyton Krebs is like, I love Buffalo. I love the snow. I love the people. And it's not just those two. It's Rasmus Dahlin, and it's going to be Owen Power coming in. And it's Carlo Poso, who's a great veteran leader that stays here in Buffalo all season long now, all year long. He's here. He doesn't go back home or Minnesota or whatnot in the summertime. He stays here in Buffalo. And I really think this group of players that they've put together is going to be something to watch in the next few years. Is it next year? I don't know. Maybe they make it interesting next year, but I think give them 2-3 years, it's going to be something special.
Yeah, no, man, it's awesome. It's awesome to see that. And, it kind of just leads into Alex Tuck is a huge piece, right? And you just mentioned that. But going to the Heritage Classic, I'm sure were you there, Marty? Or
I actually went we weren't working it because it was a TNT game, right? So I had some NHL Alumni Association duty. I had to meet some sponsors, guys from SAP that are big NHL sponsors. But my son and his hockey team and a bunch of other junior Sabres players were all like basically first row along the sideline. Like, we could barely see the action. We were watching it on the Jumbotron. It was worse than watching it on your phone. But I mean, it was fun. It was exciting. I ran into Dylan Cousins' mom and dad, and they're from Whitehorse. I mean, that's about as far north as you can go. Alaska is right over next to the Yukon. So he's, I ran into them. I ran into a lot of Sabres fans there. It was awesome, but I love the Sabres, their team. So I don't know if you guys saw, but they, the thing to do now is you go to these outdoor games, you dress up, right? Like the St. Louis Blues in Minnesota, they were beach attire. It's cold in Minnesota. They came out in Speedos and beach towels. The denim versus the leather at the Stadium Series in Nashville. So the Sabres came out in the Flint Tropics basketball uniforms.
Yes, hell yeah.
And right away, what I thought is these guys want to have fun. And these guys want to win this game because they understand that for Buffalo fans, it hasn't been easy this year. But playing the Maple Leafs in a big showcase game like this is your Mega Bowl. And that's what it was. The Flint Tropics Mega Bowl, Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl in the movie Semi-Pro. That's like what it was for this group. And
that's amazing.
Look, they won, so everybody's laughing. But I still believe that if they had lost that game, I love how they came about to doing it and everybody bought in because they're a good group of kids. Yeah. There's some older guys, but they all stick together, and that's great.
Yeah, you had Dylan Cousins in that game after the Austin Matthews incident with Rasmus Dahlin, takes a run, and I love this so much, takes a run at Austin Matthews and creates a little bit of a dust up there. And I remember seeing on Twitter, people were showing So what? He got a 10, right? He got ejected, and he went outside, and he's standing along the glass as the game's ending. And he's like, high-fiving through the glass with his teammates. And it's like everything I'm feeling watching this team right now with the big win versus Vegas, a couple big wins against the Leafs, which will probably galvanize you. You played for the Sabres, you would know that. Probably galvanizes them more than any other game would. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, you're right. These guys they're fucking playing for each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing for each other. And they look like, I mean, they've got some pieces. Even Peyton Krebs. Peyton Krebs, I don't know did Peyton Krebs have a point in Vegas? He's their first round pick. He comes here now. He scores 2 in that game.
Yeah.
He's looking like he's going to become a player. I just think that this again, I'm not saying this team could never win with Jack. I don't want to get back in the Jack conversation. But when you get a group of players that want to be in one place and play for each other, man, it's like you skyrocket. And we have a lot of fans on here, Marty, that are we have a lot of diehards, but we have a lot of casual fans too. And so for the casual fans, Buffalo's market in the NHL is any national televised game, playoff games, whatever. No matter if the Stanley Cup Finals are, Tampa and pick another Dallas. I think it was
Whoa.
Yeah, I was trying to
like
think
last year was
American
Tampa
team.
Montreal. Let's go Tampa Montreal.
Let's go Tampa Montreal. Hey, that's Gumpy Dallas. So I didn't want to bring back that. But the point being is Buffalo always owns the TV market. They have the most viewership
every year,
every nationally televised. And the thing is that we talked about before, the team hasn't been good forever. Like in a long time. So the fact they have that, if this team could start gaining some momentum, man, it's going to be fun stuff in Buffalo.
Yeah, you talked about Peyton Krebs, right? So we had Don Granado on our podcast yesterday, and he talked about how he laid into Peyton Krebs during the Heritage Classic. And he was like, you're passing too much. Shoot the puck. And he's like, I laid into him, but I know that Don Granado, number one, is amazing. He came from the U.S. development program and college, and the developing aspect is so intriguing to him, and he loves it. But he's part psychologist. He goes, I know I could push Peyton Krebs. I know I can lay into him, and he could take it, and it was going to be a response. And I think he's figuring out everybody, and he's getting the best out of most of them right now. There's still a couple guys that are lagging, and you want them to join along. But they got a prospect in Rochester named Jack Quinn. He's going to be a player. JJ Peterka is going to be a player. I mean, there's so many good pieces to that. And I really think that Don Granado is a part of their success and why they're having so much success. But the biggest thing too is this year they've taken a step back, a step forward, 2 steps forward, and then they go on. They take 4 or 5 steps back, and then they have to rebuild again. So hopefully, the Vegas, the Toronto game. Now they're in Edmonton tomorrow, Calgary Friday, Vancouver Sunday, the trade deadline Monday. I mean, they got Pittsburgh next Wednesday. There's some games coming up that are like, it's going to test you. If you thought that you had it and you're like, oh, we're good. We just won the Heritage Classic. We're like, listen, it's not over. And that for me is what is intriguing about this group, is seeing how they respond. It may not happen tomorrow night in Edmonton, but how do you respond from that in Calgary? And so that's what has been fun in my job, is people are like, do you hate it? Like, they lose a lot. And I mean, this is years 5 or 6 for me doing the studio work with the Sabres. And they're like, they never make the playoffs. They lose a lot. Well, you know what? There's other things to look for. I love the game of hockey. I'd be watching the games anyway, so might as well talk about it. But now they give me something to be excited about.
Yeah.
Marty, looking back on your career a little bit, I was looking at some highlights. You went out basically out to center ice, and you met Ray Emery one-on-one. What the hell were you thinking? What was going through your mind?
I forgot, though. Let me say, you forgot his nickname was Sugar Ray. So just so people get some background, Sugar Ray Emery. You met him out at center ice. You crazy.
I used to laugh because one day I went at WHAD myself with my full goalie equipment, And when I was at the peak of my physical specimen shape, I was about 175 pounds, right? So I'd weigh
With the
myself.
gear on?
With the gear on, I'd be 225, 215 to 225, depending.
That's not
And
bad.
I like Ray is 230, like no gear on, right? So
Butt
like,
ass naked. Butt ass naked.
yeah.
230.
I'm not in the right weight class. Like I'm fighting up 3 or 4 classes. But anyway, I always thought I was going to get in a fight in the NHL and I was going to be the one that was going to get the lucky punch. I remember watching Felix Potvin go after Ron Extall and Felix just getting a couple of rights in there.
Yeah.
And Ron Extall's bleeding and whatever. Now, at the time, I didn't know that Felix Potvin grew up like his dad was biker, like gang type stuff, and Felix would have like street fights all the time. So I'm like, the guy has gotten in many fights in his career or in his life. Now I think I'll get lucky. I'll be like the Felix Potvin against Ron Extall. I'll get a few lucky punches in there and I'll knock somebody out. So I always not look for a fight, but I always welcome that if it's presenting itself, I'll get into one. So now, you know, this is 06-07 with the Buffalo Sabres, and we've had a bunch of injuries the last few games. We lost a few of our key players, and then we play Ottawa, which was always a rival of us, and we played them at home. Now, the year before, we beat them in the second round on Jason Pominville overtime goal, so it's always a big rivalry. Chris Drury gets absolutely elbowed in the face by Chris Neal late. It would have been a 15-game suspension at minimum right now, right? Chris Neal was, you know, he was a tough guy, dirty player, but he played the game tough and whatnot. And he was a hero in Ottawa for what he did. Fan loved him. But and I was at the other end of the ice and I saw Neal come in with the elbow and boom, right in the face of Chris Drury. So our captain, our co-captain, is laying concussed on the ice. And we're at home, so we get to put our players on the ice last, right? So I see Ottawa. Brian Murray puts out Mike Comrie, Jason Spezza, and Dan Heatley. And Lily Ruff responds with Admir, Andrew Peters, and Pat Kaleta, which was his first NHL game, by the way. So Pat Kaleta
he's a Buffalo kid too, right?
Buffalo kid. The day before in his hometown, the town of Eden and Angola outside of Buffalo, they gave him the key to the city, the key to the town or whatnot. Amazing. It was a whole big thing. Pat Kaleta is going to play. They call it Pat Kaleta Day. So we're on Pat Kaleta Day and he's playing and he's on the ice. And I know at that point what's going to happen. I know this is going to be a 5-on-5 brawl. I've got my glove loosened up. I'm already like taking my blocker out. Puck drops. Peters goes after Heatley. Everything happens. Now it's a dance, right? And I look at the other end, and Ray is not going to back down from any fight. So he comes to center ice. I meet him on center ice, take my mask off. He takes his mask off, and he's laughing. He's laughing like he's about to eat on a prey, like he's that predator that's about to jump on that gazelle, right? He's like, I'm going to just chomp on this guy. So I circle around, and I grab. And Rupper, I wish you'd have been my teammate back then because you and I would have wrestled in practice. And I grabbed with my right hand in front of me on his left shoulder, which eventually opened up his right hand to just go and wail on me. So now I'm like, oh no, I didn't grab the right hand. I'm trying to get away from all these punches. He didn't hit me over here, nothing in the face. He caught me in the back of the head because I turned my head. I had like one of those Fred Flintstone bumps for like weeks, literally, like it was so painful. So we fell down on the ice, and then he's like, let's get back up and do it again. I'm like, sure. What? So I push him. Oh yeah. I'm like literally I'm into it.
You should pretend you're sleeping.
No. Like I'm like, let's do it again. He's like, let's get back up. So I kind of trip him a little bit. He falls down. We both get up, and I'm looking at him. And all of a sudden, Ray looks over, and Andrew Peters coming over. And Ray kind of looked at me and was like, I'm done with you. Get out of here. I'm fighting this guy. So Ray ends up, he ends up fighting Andrew Peters. Too. He's loving to fight Petey. And Ray actually got a 2 minutes for leaving his crease, a 5 minute for fighting, a 5 minute for fighting, a 10-minute misconduct for being second fight, and a game misconduct. Add that up. There's 32 minutes right there for Ray Emery in a matter of a few seconds. So, and then that was, believe it or not, my last game in Buffalo. I got traded a few days later to Philadelphia. So my brother, Big Matthew, who was playing he played in the NHL, but he was playing in Hamilton at the time. After the game, he goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm going to fight him. I'm going to go. Like, it's a team thing. I'm sticking with my teammates."
It's
He
a
goes,
team.
"Well, if you're going to fight him, like grab his right hand. Like, don't fight as a lefty. Come in as a righty, grab his arm, and then try to at least beat out." I'm like, never occurred
Marty,
to
are
me.
you?
I had
are
no
you,
idea.
Are you a lefty, Marty?
I'm a right-handed person. I don't know why I grabbed with the right hand.
You're a righty. You're a righty, and you came in southpaw.
I didn't know how to fight. I never had worked on it. In my
love
mind, it was like, I'm gonna just get a lucky punch and he's gonna go down. I don't have to
You know
worry
what?
about it.
Honestly, Ray
Yes,
Emery, even
dude.
though he's tough, even though Ray's tough as nails, and he probably was thinking to himself when you came in as a lefty, he's probably like, this guy, whoa, this guy's a lefty. Like it probably started making him think a little bit that he's really in
I
one.
should have ripped a few laughs. I should have been like, literally, I was Rocky Balboa the other way when Mickey tells him to fight righty, and then at the very end, you got to come back to the left. Like I
Yeah.
should have gone in lefty, toe to toe, like boom, 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 and then at the very end, grab and just go knock down with the right.
I
But
got
didn't happen.
I got a funny I got a Ray Emery story from the OHL. We were playing in the OHL and it was an offensive zone faceoff for my team. And
Okay, you're in Erie and he's in the Sioux.
yeah.
Where was he?
Did he play in Kingston also? Or was it
I'm
just
not
the
sure.
Sioux? Anyways, I know it was Ray Emery because from then on I'm like, this guy's nuts. And then he made, I saw him fighting you and doing all this stuff in the NHL. So yeah, it must have been in the Sioux. Anyways, I lined up for an offensive zone faceoff. I was playing for the Erie Otters, and so I'm lined up on the inner part of the circle, right? So I'm probably, 7 feet from the goal, and all of a sudden I start hearing like somebody yelling, "Rupper, let's go, let's fucking go, let's go!" And I turn, I look at the defenseman next to me, and he goes, like, not me. And the other defense or the other winger there is like, not me. And also I look and I see him peeking over top and he's like, "Come on, give me one. Give me one." I'm like, I turn on him, I go, "You're a fucking goalie. What are you talking about? You think I'm just gonna like I've never heard anything like that in my life." He's trying to fight me off the draw as a goaltender. And I'm literally like, is this guy joking? Like, does he want me to drop the gloves and then I'm gonna take a penalty and then they're gonna I'm like, for the rest of the time, I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's like, I'm dead serious. Let's go. We ended up not fighting. I'm like, this guy's crazy, dude.
So for how crazy Ray was, and I'll tell you this, I mean, he passed away a few years back and it was a tragic accident. So about a year before his passing, the Sabres and the alumni and the radio station Buffalo WGR, they do a celebrity roast once a year or whatnot. And they did, Danny Gare, and they did, who else? They did a bunch of other players, Bills and Sabres and whatnot. So they said, Marty, we're going to do you. And so I had a bunch of guys, Jason Woolley, JP Dumont, Danny Briere, Andrew Peters. My brother was there, a bunch of guys like roasting me. And it was awesome. It was a fun night. But they wanted Ray Emery to come in and roast me. And they're like, look, Ray, we'll pay for your time, pay for everything. And he was like, nah, I'm not sure. So I call him up and, I'm like, that would be so much fun. He goes, Marty, to be honest with you, like, I don't really feel comfortable coming into Buffalo and being that guy, that villain that's going to rip on you or whatever. Like, I played the game hard, but I'm at a different stage of my life now. And I don't want people to see me as this jerk or asshole that comes in and just wants to rip on you. So, and I think he was getting married that summer, and he's like, I don't really want to, be that guy. And I was like, I totally respect it. And and we never got to talk about it. We never got to talk about the fight. We never got to talk about what it was like, which is unfortunate. But that's how he changed, his playing personality to his retirement personality. This is the guy that punches his trainer in Russia, right? Because the guy was trying to put a hat on his head and he punched his trainer in the hallway after getting pulled. Like he was different, but he had changed, and that's unfortunate that he passed.
Yeah, I've never heard a sideways thing about the guy off the ice, off the ice. So that's one of the great things about hockey, right? Like everyone, you could be nuts, you could be this, you could be that on the ice, and then off the ice, just heard great things from all of his teammates. So kind of sad way that things kind of ended there with Ray Emery. But Marty, kind of getting back to the kind of trade deadline stuff that's happening now. We're seeing these things pop up right here. Right now, we had a couple trades tonight already. Is there one thing, like, is there a team out there that you're looking? I mean, I think there's some heavy hitters that are looking to make a big move. Is there one team out there that you're like, this team's definitely doing something huge?
There's a few teams I could think of, and I think it's the top guys. Like we're seeing Florida, getting some stuff done. And I mean, I haven't checked lately, but I know Ben Sherratt was going there. It's interesting because it was rumored that Ben Sherratt was gonna gather or fetch a first round pick for the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know what the return is. I haven't looked. It was a first, but they don't have their first round pick this year.
Huge return they got for him.
So, but they don't have the Florida Panthers don't have a first round pick this season. So it'd have to be in 2023 because they traded their first round pick to acquire Sam Reinhart, I believe. So there's things that are happening, but I do think, and got a chance to talk with Elliot Friedman this morning on our show in Buffalo, and he said he thinks Claude Giroux is going to be going to Florida. So I'm thinking, what? I'm like, we were talking Colorado for Giroux. I was thinking Minnesota would be a good fit for Claude Giroux. But, if it's Florida, but again, Claude Giroux tomorrow night's playing his 1,000th NHL game, all with the Flyers. That's a big celebration. So everything has been put on hold for Claude Giroux, but I wouldn't be surprised if Friday's a healthy scratch and over the weekend we get a trade because it's going to happen quick. But you imagine if Florida has Huberdeau, Sasha Barkov, Reinhart, Marchment, Lundell, Bennett, and then they had Giroux, and they have Ekblad, Weegar, Sherratt, they have Bob and Net. I'm like, holy crap! Like, look out! This is the team to beat right now.
I've heard from a very good source that the asking price for Claude Giroux is very it's similar. They want the similar package that the New York Rangers got in their Rick Nash to Boston deal, which was big, really big. So that's what they're looking for. So,
it's a straight rental too. You have to think that. Okay, so if you're getting Jacob Chikrin, you have 3 years at a very modest cap price for the guy. Okay, pay up the yin yang. Go ahead, get rid of your top prospect, your picks, whatever. You're getting a player for years. Giroux could be there for 2 months.
2 months, yeah. Hey, so if you go back to that trade, the Rick Nash trade, the Rangers sent Nash to the Bruins for a first round pick. Ends up being Ryan Lindgren, there was a first round pick and Ryan Lindgren, who's been a great defenseman for the Rangers now. Ryan Spooner, Matt Bolesky, and I want to say maybe there's another like depth pick involved in there too. But that's a big package, and so if Philly's looking for that might take some teams right out of the mix. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they get.
Yeah, it could. And also now you got to figure out the cap, because I think when Nash got traded to Boston, there was a cap, but not all the teams were in long-term IR, and the good teams weren't going over the cap and hoping to make the dollars work. It's pretty concerning when you think of that. You guys were talking about Tomas Hertl earlier. I thought for sure he was gone. I thought for sure Hertl was gone, and I still think for sure that Philip Forsberg is going to resign in Nashville, but who knows, right? Like, I mean, the world is upside down at times, but I didn't think that Hertl with Couture, with Brett Burns, with Vlasic, Erik Karlsson, these guys are all in their 30s and they all have long-term contracts paying them huge money. I'm like, why do you want to add a 28, going to be 29-year-old, paying him 8 years? He's going to be paid until he's 36, 37. I'm like, wow, that's a big contract to give up. And I don't know that it's really, I think Hertl is worth it, all of it. I just don't understand why the Sharks would do that. But so now if some teams were calling on Hertl, now those teams are turning around and calling, Nashville on Philip Forsberg. Can you imagine if Nashville in the middle of a playoff race are trading away one of their best players, just like Vancouver? I don't understand how Vancouver could say, oh, here you go, JT Miller, we're going to trade you away. He has 1 more year left on his deal at just over $5 million. Like, I mean, that would be crazy.
Yeah. No, they won't do that. Hey, Gumpy,
I think what Weeks said about I would trade Horvat before I trade Miller right now.
Or Besser.
I really
Besser,
would.
Besser, I think. Yeah, I think Besser too, right?
Connor
Like
Garland?
JT Miller.
Yeah.
JT Miller's been their best player.
He's legitimate
right?
best player. Like
Dude,
even bet
he
like
has a 13 game point streak. He has 8 goals and 19 assists, 27 points in 13 games. And that with the pressure of trying to get back in the race, they are a point behind Vegas right now. Yes, there's Dallas in between, and Dallas has 4 games in hand on Vegas, and they could go over the top. But I mean, Vancouver is legit back in the race.
Since Boudreau took over as coach, they're one of the better teams in the hockey. He's
done that before, though. He remember when he was with the Washington Capitals. So 2007-8, he gets hired in Washington. They go get Cristobal Huet. They're running hot. They're the best team in hockey. The Flyers, we played them in the first round in 2008 playoffs, and I'm thinking, oh, man, this is my first playoff experience as a starter. I'm like, this is not good. We got the hottest team in the league. We took them to 7 game in Washington. We were up 3-1 on them. Lost game 5 in Washington, game 6 at home, and going back to Washington on a back-to-back, Roper. Get on the train after the game, train to Washington, play them the next day. And we go to overtime in game 7, and Tom Pody took a tripping penalty, and Joffrey Lupo scored on the power play, and we beat Washington. They were the hottest team in the league at that point. One of my greatest memory, and I like to bring it up because I was on the winning side, so that's good.
Hell yeah. Marty, you mentioned your son earlier in the Junior Sabres. Is your son a goaltender too, or
he is? He's a goalie. It's I'm also so in today, like a day like today, I had radio. I had a podcast to film earlier this morning. Radio from 12 to 1. I had NHL radio 3 to 6. I had you guys tonight, and I'm happy to be on. But in between, I'm making phone calls because I'm kind of like my son's agent because I got to find him a junior team to play next year. So I'm emailing teams, calling coaches, calling goalie coaches, GMs. I'm in Canada with teams, in the US with teams. It's like this is a full-time job. Like to be able to be a hockey parent is crazy.
Tell the boys about when Jacob almost got you and I beat up at the Winter Classic out in Philly on the street.
So we were, and this is, again, a story that I almost forgot. So we were walking. So we were in Philadelphia on New Year's Day.
Scumbag
right? Because
Flyer fans. Flyer fans.
We're both with the Rangers, and they had no idea that Rupper was gonna be the star of the Winter Classic and give the Jagger salute a couple of times. But anyway, that was 24 hours before that. So we are, the alumni game happened on the 1st, I believe, January 1st. Our game was on the 2nd because it was a Sunday, the whole thing. So we're walking from our team hotel to the family hotel, which was a few blocks away. I got my son. I think your son was there too, Rupper. We're working with our boys, going back to the hotel. And my kid's got his Rangers stuff on, and there's guys across the street, and they yell, "Boo, Rangers, you guys suck." And my son, out of nowhere, goes, "Flyers suck. What are you talking about? Flyers suck." He was like literally... He was 8 years old.
Shut up. Yeah. Yelling at him. I'm like, these drunk dudes are going to come over here and beat the wheels off us. Jacob just got a big heart on him. He's just like, "You guys suck." Just screaming at him. It's unreal.
They're like, we don't want to do this. We're in Philadelphia. We're the enemy here. He goes, "We were here in Philly before." I know. And we're just joking about it. But I'm like thinking, hockey players assaulted the day before a game as a big headline, on, social media and whatnot, which would not have been good. But yeah, we, and that's the thing. Like I go back to the family skate with the Sabres and the Toronto Maple Leafs the Saturday before the Heritage Classic. And then I went through my computers and looked at pictures. We had our family skate, Rupper. It was, what an experience that was to be able to, experience it with your family. My kids were there. My dad hadn't skated in 20 years. He was a hockey coach when I was a kid. He coached my brother when we were kids, and he hadn't been on skates in 20 years, and he skated around. Like what a cool thing that is, all these outdoor games. I'm so happy we got to play in that one. Rupper, you were a star in that one. The controversy at the end where we didn't shake hands because we were pissed at Denis Leroux, whatever his name is, the referee that called the penalty shot and then didn't award the goal. We had an empty netter, and Kimmo Timonen basically grabbed our guy and pulled him back.
Oh
Would have
yeah.
been a penalty shot. Would have been a penalty or a goal awarded because there was, the goalie was pulled. It was just a shit show. So we get on the ice, and Torts is like, "Get out! We're not shaking hands. Get out!" And we all like walked off the ice, and the Flyers are sitting there like, "What's going on?" And they walked off the ice too.
Yeah.
Marty, I got one more for you, and that kind of got my brain going there in terms of you played for some of these teams all in what they call the Metro Division now, where a lot of heated rivalries in there, whether it's Islanders, Rangers, or Rangers Flyers, or Pens Flyers, Buffalo and the Sens you mentioned earlier, kind of when they were at their height there too. What was the most heated rivalry you've been a part of, could you say?
Well, Buffalo Philadelphia was a pretty good rivalry as well, because you look back at some of the series. 97 Buffalo beat Ottawa, and then they played against the Legion of Doom. There was a John LeClair goal through the side of the net. I believe that's 99 2000. So anyway, there was some good rivalries there as well. I would probably say Philly Pitt for me was one of the biggest, because my 2 years in Philadelphia, we played the Pittsburgh Penguins in the playoffs. My first year in 08 was in the conference final. Pittsburgh lost to Detroit in the 08 finals. And then the next year, Pitt ended up beating Detroit, and they won the cup that year. So that to me is probably the biggest rivalry I had faced. Like, I remember conference finals, we're playing at the Igloo at the Mellon Arena.
Hell yeah.
And Rupper, you remember, like, if we would walk back from the hotel to the rink, right? So we had a meeting at the rink, optional skate, me and a couple guys, I believe like Briere and Mike Richards or whatnot. We decided to walk back from the building. Literally, like, we had to jump out of the way of cars. Like, they were coming on the sidewalk trying to to scare us, because they were like, they could tell that we were Flyers, right? We're in our suits or whatnot. And fans were so nuts in Pittsburgh. They would literally come right up to us and honk and, "You suck," and then they'd yell at, like, it was so intense. Now, I can't make apologies for any Flyers fans, because I know they do the same thing, but it was a crazy rivalry. So back-to-back years, the next year was the first round, but back-to-back years we played them in the playoffs. It was pretty crazy. It was fun.
You know what? That reminds me of, and that's all a part of it too, right? Like, so you say that about Pittsburgh. I'm always hard on Philly, because I played for every team that's supposed to hate Philly. I was brought up to hate Philly in my professional hockey career. But I'll tell you this, they have great loud, crazy fans. Like, if you're on the Flyers, they're great. If you're not, they're scumbags. Like, you know what I mean? That's how I kind of look at that group. But I remember being in there may not have been a better place to win a road game when you're playing for a rival of the Flyers. Because they've got that ramp, that loading dock kind of ramp that goes down. And anytime you leave there, even when you pull in, sometimes early before the game, there's people there. But there's people that line up right there, and they're giving you the finger. They're throwing shit at the bus. They all line up and they're yelling, "You suck," whatever. So I remember one time when I was in New Jersey, we were leaving, and we got this like a great win. Both teams were good. Like, just a dog fight, couple scraps in the game. And I don't remember. It's just like a dramatic ending. We win. Everyone's fired up. Boys got the cooler on the back of the bus. I remember Colin White, the bus is going up, and you can see all the people line up. You can hear them booing already. And you see everyone giving the fingers. And Colin White, I don't know if you ever heard Whitey's voice, but he's got
I played with him in juniors.
Oh,
Whitey, I played with him in juniors in Hull and Gatineau. We won a Mem Cup together.
Yeah, so Whitey starts yelling up to the bus driver. He goes, Bussy, turn on the lights, because it's dark, right? So he wants the outside to be able to see inside the bus. Turn on the lights, Bussy. So the bus driver flips the lights on, and Whitey's like, "Let's go, boys!" And everyone drops our pants, shoots the moon. We're giving them all the finger. We're giving them all the finger leaving there, and it was like the best, dude. We're like, "Fuck these guys!" And I got out there, and I love playing.
Let's go, boys.
That's a good one. Whitey would be the one leading the charge. Don't get me wrong. I played with Whitey.
Whitey's the same guy. Whitey's the same guy where we had when we won the cup in 03, we were going on Dave Letterman's show. And so we had like three limos that were taken. Not everybody went. Maybe it was like 10 of us to 12 of us, whatever. And we had like 3 limos and Whitey's in the limo that I'm in. And the cup was too. And so we're traveling. And I, at this point, I'm pretty green in the NHL. I don't know where I'm at in New York City. I just know we're going to Dave Letterman. And all of a sudden, Whitey goes, "Stop the car, stop the car." And the limo driver pulls over the side and Whitey opens the door. Like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Let's fucking go." And he grabs the Stanley Cup and he waves out, because the other limos are pulled over behind us too. And he waves everybody out. And he's like, "Let's fucking go." We went up on the steps of MSG with the Stanley Cup and start hoisting the cup around. And Whitey's sitting there like a couple steps down, and anybody walking by in New York or walking by, Whitey's like, "Take a good look. It's the closest you're ever gonna fucking get." Start screaming at everybody. And all these people all start giving us the finger, and like I'm like, "Dude, we're gonna get killed." And Whitey's a beauty. Whitey's an absolute
The thing with
beauty.
Whitey, is you give him one beer and he's gone, and he's gonna have 12 more, and he's the same way after one that he is after 12. That's that. I mean, we won the Memorial Cup. We were both 19 years old, and in Hall, and we went out in Hall and whatnot. We're walking around the cup, and he's just like, "This is so great!" Like he's just like, he's a puddle after one beer.
He had last one on Whitey. He liked to go out. He liked to have his beers. So we got to the point, like after games, guys, instead of going out somewhere, because guys would want to have a few beers if you had the day off the next day or whatever, and guys, whatever, he ended up building. Remember, he got an eye injury, and
he had the long visor. He almost lost his eye.
Yeah, so he was legally blind in the one eye, and so. And this will work into the story. So he likes to have the beers, and his wife at the time didn't like that he was going out. So he was going out all the time, coming back late. So they're like, they made an agreement that Whitey was going to build a bar in the basement. Whitey drops like 80 grand on this bar in the basement. He put in urinals, like wall urinals.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Basement. It was incredible. And it was such a cool spot where the guys would go all the time. And he had it just like your neon sign there, Nick. He had a neon sign made, and he called his bar in his basement One-Eyed Whitey's. And the boys would sit there. The boys would sit there after games, and Whitey'd be like, "Where are we going?" And guys would be like, "Let's go to One-Eyed Whitey's." He's like, "Let's go. One-Eyed Whitey's is open." We go over to Whitey's. What a beauty that guy is. But anyway,
can you imagine if social media was around when we were like playing and all these things was happening? Like it would have killed us. And I wasn't even a big partier, but I know from all these stories and all these things I witnessed. I mean, I played with guys like Dominic Hasek and Doug Gilmour for a year, and Dave Andrechuk, and these veterans that, you know, I was in charge of the beer my last couple of years in New York in the back of the bus. Like I brought in my first year in New York, I brought in like 24 beers on the bus, and I'd put 12 in my bag and take them home. Right. They would like literally like 4 or 5 guys that would have 2 or 3 each. That's it. By the last season, I would put 6 beers on the bus. I'd have a couple. Somebody else would have one. I'd put 3 in my bag. And nobody was drinking beers anymore. Like, I mean, like Dominic Hasek or Dougie Gilmour, those guys would have 6 on the way to the airport. I mean, that's how it was. It was totally different. Well, Dom was more like vodka soda or something, but it was still some drinks.
So an interesting one the other day. I talked to JT Miller. We had interviewed him on NHL Network, and he made a comment. They had a huge win. Did he score like an OT winner last week or something? Something happened. It was a big game, and they had a good flight back to Vancouver, and he dropped a subtle. Let's just say I left my car at the airport that night. And I'm like, holy shit! Some boys still drink. Some boys are still getting after it. So I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah, you got to be sneaky though, right? I mean, you got to hide it a little bit better now, but some guys still do it. They know the tricks.
Marty,
Oh, yeah.
before we let you out of here, can you give us one Dominic Hasek story? Doesn't have to be some. We don't want to make anyone look bad, but if you got something
No.
from your head-
Dom would tell those stories anyway. I've got a couple. One is a quick one. We were getting ready to go for warm up one day, and he's like getting ready. He gets up in his stall, grabs his helmet and cage. He puts it on, grabs his gloves. He looks in his stall. He turns over to me, goes, "Marty, I forgot to put my cup." I'm like, what do you mean you forgot your cup? He goes, "I forgot to put my cup." Like, it's in the back of his stall. His goalie cup, like, is there. And I'm like, dude, he can't go off for warm up. Like, you're not protected. And he goes, "I stuff a sock in there. I'll be fine." So he put like a game sock in his pants to protect himself. He went out there for warm up, then put his cup on after the warm up and played the game. I'm like, this guy's nuts. Like, but he's also better than everybody else. He can probably catch all the pucks coming to him and not worry about getting it in the balls or anything like that. So that was one. But the best one that I tell people is one night we're in Nashville before it became what it is now. But it was still, a place that you could go for a few beers after games or whatnot. We're supposed to fly out. And Lindy Ruff came into the bus after the game. He says, "Guys, just got a call. Our plane's being worked on right now. It's probably going to be about an hour and a half before it's ready. So it's 10:30, let's say midnight, back here on the bus. You guys can go have a couple beers." So we go to the first bar, right? And it's midnight, and we're like, "What do we do?" And Dom goes, We stay another round. So we have another round, then it's about 12:30, and we look, and now Lindy Ruff and his coaching staff is walking like Main Street to see where we are, like Broadway and Nashville. And then we see them, and they kind of walk into our bar. So Dom goes, "Go." We go through the back door and walk into the next bar. And we order a round. And, the coaches probably did the same thing. They finished their beers, and then they went to the next bar. We saw them. Dom is like, let's go. We did like 3 or 4 bars like this. It was like last call, probably. I want to say it was 2 a.m. or something. We finally got back. The coaches were like, "Okay, on the bus." We got on the bus, flew back to Buffalo. But Dom was like, he could do no wrong. Like, he was the best player in the world at the time. So, and I'm sure Lindy Ruff and the coaching staff liked it because they got to go out as well. Lindy's that type of guy. He likes to have a little bit of fun. But yeah, Dom was, for all the stories and he's had some issues over his years with media or whatnot. He was a great guy, and we all followed him, and we had a lot of fun.
Was he where do you got him in the all-time ranks?
You and I will have that debate until the day we're in 6 feet under. I have Dom number 1. And then I have a really hard time putting Brodeur and Raw and where they fit. I think Marty's the greatest regular season goaltender of all time. Patrick's probably the greatest playoff goalie of all time. But Dom, to me, is the greatest, most dominant goaltender that's ever played the position.
Sounds like a pretty fair way to break it up to me. I can get down with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I know Rupper's got Marty number 1, which is fine.
Yeah.
Not this Marty B, but the real Marty B. So.
Marty B.
Calling him to go to movies.
Yeah, even when I wake his ass up pre-game naps, he's still going out there and pitching a shutout. So yeah. There you go. What about you, Gumpy?
Yeah.
Got anything for Marty here?
Marty, 13-game winning streak. What did it
yeah.
feel like? Do you feel like nothing could get by, or what was that run like for you, pal?
So it was kind of weird because that year was Ryan Miller's first season. He broke his thumb in a practice, and then we got lit up 10-4 by the Ottawa Senators that night. I gave up 7. It was just absolutely brutal. And then I didn't get myself going until I started to win a little bit. And it was maybe 3-4 games later, I started to win. I don't know. I wasn't really superstitious. Like, I had my routine, my little superstitions, whatever. Yeah, exactly. But I got extremely, extremely superstitious in that 13-game winning streak. I used the same stick all 13 games, right? And we're in game 13. We're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. No, I didn't practice with it, just game. But listen, I have pictures at home. I don't know where they are. I'd have to show you guys. Like, in that streak, if we go back and look at pictures from that streak, my stick has fiberglass tape on the paddle, it's like covered in like just adhesive and glue just to keep it together to play games, right? So game number 13, we're playing Pittsburgh in Buffalo, and there's 2 minutes left, and I make a save, and I think it was Jay McKee. Anyway, cross-check a guy in front of me, falls into me, the stick goes like literally cracked in half. Oh, no. And I get up, and Jay goes to the bench, and he's like, "Marty, which stick do you want?" I'm like, "I'm good." It's good. Don't worry about it. Cheese, Rupper, you know Cheese. Cheese comes over and goes, Marty, your stick's broken.
Cheese.
Yeah, he's like, we have 2 minutes to play and we're up a goal. Like, you can't play with a broken stick. My stick's fine, Jay. I'm all good and I'm getting ready for the war. I played the last 2 minutes with a busted stick. The thing was like a wet noodle. Like, it was like so bad. Just because I was so superstitious. It like was possessing me. It was controlling me. And then, you know, we win. So I win 13 starts in a row. The next game was right around Christmas time or after Christmas time. Ryan Miller was ready to come back. We're in Philadelphia. I find out I'm not playing that game. I'm really mad. And then the next game we play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. And now I got to tape a new stick because I'm not going to play with a broken stick. And then I lost that one. So again, like, it just, superstitions are weird, but they actually work because I didn't have my stick and I lost the next game. Or maybe my brain was thinking that way. But anyway, it was, I was consumed by the whole thing. Like, it was probably the worst 2 months of my family and, you know, my people around me's life because I was consumed by it.
You mentioned it earlier, and maybe was this a superstition? And I'll say it to these guys, and maybe you could tell how much. You guys know what it's like when you're in our viewers that played hockey or have had kids playing hockey. You know what the sound of plastic tape sounds like, right? Like, you got that loud, like, can't even make that noise. Yeah, it's got that loud noise, right? Marty would tape his entire boot of his skate all the way up. And I am not exaggerating. Maybe you could put how much I mean, did you use a roll of tape for each time?
It was about 3/4 of a roll of tape on each ankles. I never counted how many times around, but it was about 60 times around.
Oh,
generally speaking, if you gave me one roll of tape, I like to keep a roll of tape in my like my stick bag that I traveled around with. So I would just use it. I could use it every day. If I practice for, say in a week, we have 3 games and geez, I don't know. Say we had 3 games and 7 practices. That's including pregame skates. I'd probably go through 2 rolls of tape. He went through almost 2 rolls of tape every time he went on the ice.
Well, like, with my knee pads and everything else, it was 2 rolls, and I would be like at the very last end of the second roll. And then the worst part was taking it off. No, you know what it was? So again, Felix Potvin, to go back to the Felix Potvin fighting story. So I got called up at 18 to Buffalo, and we played Toronto one game, and Felix Potvin skated in front of me, and he used to put a lot of plastic tape on his ankles. And I love Felix the Cat. Like, he was like, man, this guy is a stud. So I'm like, I'm in the NHL by that point, although I went back to juniors and my trainer didn't like it, but still, I'm like, I'm the NHL. I don't have to worry about tape, so I'm going to try it. So I put a little bit, and I'm like, oh, this feels good. And I put a little bit more and put a little bit more. But here's the problem, Rupper. I got a pair of skate in 1994, the 94-95 season in juniors, and I kept the same pair of skate until I retired in 2013. They were basically falling apart. The tape held them together. So it was like, you know, when you see the football players that they tape their ankles and they go under the heel and over the top or whatever. That's what my ankles were like. But I used the same pair of skates. I changed the cowling, the white cowling. So I did new blades a couple times a year. But if you ask any trainers that I had, either with Buffalo, the Allen Flyers, or New York Rangers, they'd say, Marty, we tried to get him out of skates every year, and I could never do it. I was past the point of no return. I could not get into a new pair of skates. So I had the same pair of skates for almost 20 years, and it was the tape was holding it together.
That is incredible. Hey, the only thing I ever heard close to that, I know it's well documented.
Frankie Lassard.
Frankie, him too.
Frankie Lassard used to tape his ankle like worse than mine, and he was a player. Imagine that.
Yeah. Frankie Lassard's eyes were bloodshot red all the time. He's scary as shit. Anyways, the only other one I've heard like that is 87. 87 had when I played with him in 2010, 11 time, he had the same jock strap that he had since he was a bantam. So, bantam hockey is, what is that, Marty? Is that
14? That's
14.
yeah, 14.
So from 14 all the way 8 years into his NHL career. And I think I don't know if he still uses it. That thing was like a frayed sweater, like it just strings. I'm like, dude, what?
Well,
And it
remember
was
when he would
obviously
get
super
interviewed,
simple.
it was always hanging behind him in the stall.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, dude, like,
Disgusting.
where's your PR guy that's saying, let's move this underneath? Like, it just,
dude.
his jock is hanging behind him every time.
Yeah, dude, can you imagine? I don't know, dude. But anyway, seems to be working for him. Worked for you. You had a great career. Dude, listen, we appreciate you coming on. I told you it was going to be 30 minutes, and you stayed a long
whatever.
time and told some great stories.
I know the drill. We do the same thing here, and I tell people, oh, it's 20 minutes, and then we're 45 minutes in. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And I love talking hockey, and I love being able to do this and share stories with people like you guys and your audience, and it's fun. And again, like you remind me of stories that I'm like, oh, I forgot about walking in Philadelphia and our kids almost getting us beat up, right? You forget so many stories that it's always fun. It's like we're just hanging around with a couple of beers and we're just, telling stories.
Yeah, so good.
So
Marty, thank you so much, man. We appreciate the time. I know you're busy. Hey, good luck with your son. Hopefully you can get him on a team there, and hopefully he goes on to have a career just like yours, man. Keep killing it and keep crushing it in the media as well.
I appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Rupper, I don't know what you're doing trade deadline, but I'm sure it's going to be really busy. I don't know if you're at network or not, but it's going to be a crazy day. I hope anyway, because we're going to be sitting there like twirling our thumbs. It better get something.
Are you on TSN that day?
I'm on TSN that day. So I'll be, hopefully we're still unconfirmed, but I think I'm driving up to the studio for the first time in a year and a half. So I'm hoping that, I can make it in studio in person as opposed to being home on, my computer to do the trade deadline. So it'd be fun.
Please do. We need all you guys at the desk. It's not the same without it.
Yes,
yeah, it's different. True. It's fun that we can do this, but in person is a lot better. So that's the way it is.
All right, Marty, thank you so much. Come join us again soon, hopefully.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys. Thanks.
Man,
legend.
He brings the juice, huh?
He's a legend, dude.
Marty
B. holding court, dude.
Marty B.
Right off the hop.
He is awesome. Just honestly, we could have just come on here and just say, Marty, thanks for coming on.
Go. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what fucking happened right off the bat.
It's so good. So
I always catch I'll catch the NHL Network radio in my car on my drive home, and I love whether it's in the morning to the office or on the way home, if Marty B happens to be on, because like you mentioned, like he's just going. He's just a ball of energy, and he's bringing it. And they always say like NHL players, like they lack the personality, and like there's a guy right there who has it in spades. Like, and I know he's all over the TV and in New York, and he's on TSN. Like, I wish like he should be on that TNT panel. Like he should be out there in front of everybody.
Yeah, no, he's great. Got some great stories too. I mean, honestly, we could have him on here in the future and he could probably tell 3 hours worth of stories we didn't even hear. So he's got some great ones. Marty's awesome. And you know what, just to double down or circle back on the we'll just end it with this. Don't sleep on the Sabres team's future. They've got a good future.
Absolutely.
And
guys that want to be somewhere means a lot.
Well, it really like after the Eichel trade, it almost felt like a weight was lifted off the organization.
I think it galvanized them. It galvanized them, don't you think? Right? Like they lose their leader, even though they stripped them of the captaincy prior to that. But you know what I mean? Like he was supposed to be their ticket. Now they're like, we don't need a fucking ticket. We're a good team here. And speaking of like going from good team to good game, we got two. What do you got? 2-2 still in this end of the second. Bruins Wild.
Yep.
Kirill Kaprizov came out the other day because the Wild have won like 4 of their last, I don't know what it is, 15 games. Like, and they're getting in a very tough spot here for a team that's been really good all year long. And Kaprizov, who has very limited English, doesn't do a lot of media, came out yesterday and he was like, I'm totally paraphrasing here, but it's something on the lines of, we got to get pissed. And not enough guys are getting pissed. We have to be pissed off and let's change this thing. And it's on all of us. What's he do tonight? Comes out Potts the first 2 goals, couple beauties for the Wild, but they're tied here because you had Craig Smith and Brad Marchand who tie this thing up. I mean, this is big for the Wild, and if Vegas keeps struggling right now, for me, it's going to come down to Vegas and Minnesota Wild to be the last playoff spot. I think, hey, Gumpy, I think your Stars team, I think they're going to get in. I think they're in. They got some games in hand. They're in a good spot. So this Wild team, they need to win this game.
I need Vancouver to edge their way in there because a couple weeks back, right around the time barbecue Bruce, there it is, jumped back on board. I laid a nice bet on them to make the playoffs, and it would be really sweet to see that come to fruition because they're battling, and I'm excited on Vancouver.
They're very good, man. Very fucking good. Very good.
Yeah,
it's hot of it. Like the East is settled, right? We know who's going to be in the East. It's just a matter of where the seeds fall. The West is still wide open for those last couple spots.
Winnipeg's still alive. Those guys have been on life support for a long time. They're just, I don't know. It's like they're not out of it. I mean, where are they right now? They're not far. Like they're close in this. They're Winnipeg Jets right now are 1 point behind Vancouver. You know what I mean? They're
1 point?
1 point behind Vancouver. Yeah. Same games played. So they're right there too.
They just had 2 monster wins. They just beat Vancouver the other night. And then who was it? Did they beat Vegas? I think they beat Vegas recently.
Beat Vegas last
night. Or not Tampa Bay. They beat
Vegas.
Tampa Bay a couple games ago, and then they beat Vegas the other night.
Like, what does Vegas do next year, Rupper? Like, do you think it's missing players? Like, I think you're going to see a franchise that came in as expansion, blew the doors off, and now is going to experience what it's like being an expansion team.
I agree.
They're in a bad spot, man.
They're in a bad spot, but what I think that they're going to end up doing, which I can understand, they're really, really banged up this year. They have been.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to say, we just need to get healthy.
Run it back.
Well, they're still going to, I think, have to make, let's not forget. Remember, the only reason why Jack Eichel fit to be activated was because Mark Stone went out on long-term injury. Yeah. So they had to play a little bit of cap gymnastics and having long-term injury, not counting against the cap to fit new money under cap. So if they're all healthy, going in this offseason, they're over the cap. So they're going to have to find a way to cut some cap space. I don't really have it in front of me. Maybe they have some pending UFAs that would do that anyways. But I think the mindset's going to be, let's try to run this thing back with a healthy group and see what happens. But I think that what you're kind of saying there, Gumpy, and I agree with you, I don't know if I think this is the group to do it. I think their best team have already happened.
They need a goalie, Rupper.
Yeah.
You're not.
Sometimes you're only one piece away, and right now we're one piece away from a full power here and going maximum show here. So let's bring in the aficionado and let's get to it.
They're dead. Who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. They are dead.
Real quick, I wish so bad I could spend one night at One-Eyed Whitey's.
One-Eyed Whitey's. You'd love it. You'd love it.
Honestly, that whole thing about why the bar came to be. I was listening to your whole story. We had a couple guys who had some ridiculous basement bar setups, and there was some numerous keg options, tap, draft, whole bars that were set up. It reminded me of some of the guys I've been to, and I thought of One-Eyed Whitey's just.
It was the best. My son still talks about it because he was friends with Whitey's kid, and he'd go down there. He's like, he had a urinal. He had a urinal in his basement. He still talks about it. He's like, it's so cool. They have a urinal in his basement, but it was sick, dude. It was the spot. And you know what? It was good because that was our space to go hang out, man, and we didn't have to worry about anything on the outside. We didn't have to worry about people. We didn't have to worry about
driving.
Yes. We didn't have to worry about, Lou Lamoriello had tabs all over that town. And so he knew when guys were out, and he didn't know about One-Eyed Whitey's. And our GM wasn't able to know. I got a funny one for you though. So Whitey, the one day comes to the rink, he's just exhausted. And we're like, dude, what the fuck happened last night? He's like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, why are you exhausted? He's like, he he came home, and it was a night that no one else kind of went over there. We probably lost or something, and we didn't get together. And he went home, and Whitey was the type where we all have the people in our lives that do this, where it's like they don't smoke darts until they have a couple drinks, and they want to smoke a couple darts, right? And so Whitey's down in One-Eyed Whitey's by himself, and he puts headphones on. Because he's got at the time his wife and kids, they're upstairs, they're sleeping.
Okay.
So he doesn't want to play the big surround sound and play music. He puts his headphones on, starts putting some jams, just booming them, and he's in the basement slugging some back, whatever, and he wants to go have a smoke. So he opens the door. It was a walkout basement. He opens the door, goes outside, starts having a smoke, and then next thing you know, he just sees he could see from around the house all these cop lights and police lights. And he just didn't really think anything of it. Thought maybe they're driving by. Next thing you know, these cops come walking in the backyard. And he's like, and they got flashlights. And he's like, and then he takes his headphones off. And all he hears is the fucking alarm going. He had his headphones on. And the alarm was set. And he went outside the door to have a smoke. And the alarm was going off. It was the cops were there, so he was up trying to explain himself, and it was a late night for Whitey at One-Eyed Whitey's.
What a legend!
He's a beauty.
I still don't think I know who we're talking about, but I love the guy.
His name is, and I don't know. I'm curious if you guys actually came across anybody like he is. His name's Colin White. He's from Nova Scotia, and so I don't know if you guys have met many people from Nova Scotia, but in the hockey world, like these dudes throw back beers like I've never seen in my life.
Really?
Oh yeah, Nova Scotia boys can go.
I'm not kidding you. Like
That's
he's
awesome.
one of those. If it's a day to I've played with Nova Scotians that are like, if it's a day to let it loose, like Pat. We're talking like 25 beers. Like, dude, drinking. Like, I'm like, what?
Middle of the season.
Huh?
Middle of the season.
Oh, no, I don't think, I'm talking like on a day that you really let her loose, these guys will do. It's not like a regular thing. Like, he's not doing that all the time. But you know what I mean? Like, on that one time, couple times a year, where you're just going to let it all hang out, these guys are throwing beers back. And is that
just the water up there? Where is Nova Scotia? That's left or right?
Right.
It's right. It's like Gumpy. It's all you do
Halifax. It's by Halifax.
That's
right?
where Sid, Crosby, and Marchand are from Nova Scotia.
Yeah, they're from there.
I love Nova Scotia.
What do they call Gumpy? What do you guys call them? Maritimers?
I don't know. I only know the name for Newfoundlanders.
Newfies too.
There you go. There it is. Fucking weapons, dude. They're fucking weapons, dude.
Why is that?
But yeah, so you know where Newfoundland is, Pat? Newfoundland?
Absolutely not.
All right, so it's like if you went up the East Coast, and so where Maine is, if you went up Maine north and a little bit. I think it's a little bit east or just north.
Oh yeah, it's more than a little bit. It's out there.
That's Halifax. You have to. So they used to have an American Hockey League team. The Toronto Maple Leafs team used to be in St. John. Wait, I always get that confused. There's St. John and there's St. John's. But anyways, it was St. John. I think it's St. John, Newfoundland. And the way to get there in the minors was you would fly or bus wherever you're coming from to Halifax, and then you'd have to take a plane because it's called the Rock. It's an island. It's basically an island that's way up north there. And so we took a plane flying in there to play. And I had no idea, dude. Like I'm from Cleveland, and my friends in high school thought when I was playing in the OHL, there's like polar bears and Ontario hockey league. They're talking like I'm playing around Toronto, and they think there's like polar bears and igloos and shit. So like no one knows where that is. So I don't know where it is. We're landing in the middle of a snowstorm. It's like a movie. And the plane, it's remember in like Major League when the plane's shaking like that? It was like shaking. I mean, the lights weren't going out. It was nothing dramatic like that, but it was shaking and you can't see anything, but we feel like we're getting close to landing. All of a sudden you drop just a little bit below the clouds and you're like right over. It literally just looks like a giant rock, waves crashing into it. I like floating icebergs in the water. I'm like, where the fuck are we now? And we go there and we had 2 games in 2 nights. So after the one game, we went out to have a beer, and it is like the nicest people in the world, but they have like a different accent, different language. And across Canada, they're considered to be what, Gumpy? They're weird, right? They consider them to be like
they're just
really,
newfies. They're just
they're
fucking.
newfies.
They're legends. They're fucking. We had a
Who
one
lives
night.
there? Why are
we had a
people
one-
choosing to live
We had
there?
a one-eyed newfie named Doug at the shipyard. He had a glass eye. This guy was a
One-eyed
painter with a
newfie?
glass eye. Oh, dude, this guy was fucking
We
one
have
of
one-eyed
one,
whiteys
dude.
and one-eyed Dougs.
Yeah,
One-eyed
he
Doug.
was a legend, dude. Dougie was an absolute legend.
It's true though, but they're so nice. They're so nice. But I asked him that one time. Oh, right. Well, we're talking about Newfoundland right now, so it's not where Colin White is from. But I asked him, even with like some of the Maritimers, you're right, Nick. It's like, I go, how come everybody I meet that's from up there, like you guys could just drink like this? Like I don't understand. He goes, honestly, it's all there's to do. There's fishing and drinking. It's just fishing and drinking. So, I mean, a lot of these there's fishing towns and their activities drinking. So it's crazy. I never seen anything like it.
I'm looking. You guys probably saw me. I keep looking up here because I have a map on my wall, so I'm trying to like figure out
Canada
how.
or the whole world?
It's the whole world, but it's got Newfie out there. It's basically on the same lat, Pat, as like Ireland and the UK. So that's the type of weather you're dealing with, and then it's like right below Greenland.
Yeah. It sounds like it's one of those Nordic.
Yeah,
sounds like one of those Nordic countries over there. If it's right of Maine, isn't that over where like the northern lights are?
Northeast of Maine.
Why the fuck would you put a team there when you have a team in Houston? In that league. So let's put them out there.
Why is anybody living there?
The fuck?
What is it? Why did people move there? Like how they had to take?
I don't think anybody's moving there. I think that's just where you are.
I think it's a slow trickle out of there. It just happens to be some more there still. No,
so you think like
it's actually supposed to be really. It's actually supposed to be really beautiful, and I will say this because I don't want to be coming across as just complete shit. It's a different world. It's a different planet. It feels like, but the people are the nicest. Like you went out to the bar, and they're like they can't. I didn't even do how they talk. They're like, "Oh, so you're here playing hockey?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Let me buy you a beer." Like there's like old. No, listen. There's like old ladies. No. There's like old ladies at the bar slugging beers. It's weird. It's cool. It's their experience, but it's weird.
What was that? Hold on.
That was a mix between Gumpy's Canadian heritage and maybe like the Lucky Charms guy. I don't know.
Can you give me a standard Canadian accent though, real quick, just so I can see the separation between the two there?
Me?
Yeah.
Gumpy. Give him a Canadian accent.
No, your impression of
mine. I don't know. Do you guys think that I speak funny or no? Because I don't know. Because I sometimes get people saying I have a Canadian accent's like, what is it?
Yeah, I don't know, buddy.
He's like, let's go have some beers. And I can't do it now. You say like about. It's like about, and you know all that shit, Pat. Come on.
Yeah, but I wanted to know the difference between that and the Newfie.
Like you put me on the spot. I can't do it, man. I can't do it.
I'm so
that might be up there with fucking Diggs' South African accent.
Oh my god,
it's tough too.
Wait, why was it?
You doing Newfie?
Time out. You can't tell me that I did a bad Newfie accent when you don't even know where the fuck Newfoundland is. How do you know? I drank.
Take it easy. You're popping out of the fucking drum set, Ruffy. Relax.
I had beers with the old ladies and all the good stuff up there in Newfoundland. I hear how they talk.
Oh, you're here for the hockey, huh?
Yeah, there was a little too Ireland, like a little too Lucky Charms.
Oh man, it was awesome. I thought. By the way, we don't know. Fuck, we don't know. I mean, One-Eyed Doofy might have a little different impression on Gumpy's world, but we need to get the Newfie. We need to get the Newfie,
We
it
do.
sounds like.
We have to. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It sounds like people work their whole lives to get out of Newfie. I don't know if that's the place we need to get to.
Did you hear how he described that place? It sounds like Avatar, but of like Antarctica. You know, he said it's like a different planet.
It's crazy, man. It really is.
Polar bears?
No. I mean, I was in the city. I don't know where. Honestly, maybe there is some like on the outskirts. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's up there.
Maybe they floated in on the old icebergs and got off, and whatever. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know
not
how
to
that
get
works.
too far off subject here, but since we're here, Mighty Ducks, Greenland is nice, or no, Iceland is nice, Greenland is ice. You remember that from Mighty Ducks?
No, I don't.
All right, dude.
I mean,
Did you even watch?
I can't.
Did you even watch the Mighty Ducks, bro?
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know. I just can't quote that movie. Well,
It's a good
who
movie.
says
You don't
that?
like the movie?
No, I love the
Fucking
movie.
cake eater.
No, I love the movie. I love the movie, man. Did you watch the new show on it on Disney Plus last year, a couple years ago?
I'll do that. Did you?
Tough show.
Kicked Emilio off the set, dude.
Hey, why? Because he's boozed up.
Wouldn't get fucking vaccinated.
Oh, that immunized son of a bitch!
He had a bout with long COVID and didn't want to get didn't want to get the shots.
We knew that dude. He goes against the grain. We knew that when he was, he had that DUI and he had to coach the team to begin with back in the day.
In the limo on the pond.
Yeah, that's what Coach Bombay does. That's what he does.
So, yeah.
Anyways, I watched a prison documentary in Greenland, and it sounds very similar to how you're describing Newfoundland, like just a rock. It was basically just an iceberg that people live on out there in the middle of nowhere.
Nuts,
it's crazy.
It's crazy stuff.
What do you boys say we do some trivia?
Let's do it.
Let's win something. Let's win something.
Need a balance.
What do we want to do? Let's think of something. I could do something here. Let's try to figure out something creative. What do we got? What do we want to do?
Okay, Rubber wants to get creative.
You got a jersey?
You should give away that. Just give away that headband you wore today.
No, keep that thing forever.
Yes,
that was fucking sweet. Rubber.
You were awesome today.
That was awesome.
Why? Hey, I'm sitting there and I was just messing around earlier and I see Phil posted something, basically with just the tournament starting and posted those jerseys. I'm like, I forgot I got one of those jerseys. And I went and I grabbed it. I'm like, fuck it, let's wear it. And I'm like, I don't want to look like some just bald ass dude putting a jersey on. So I'll put the headband on and I'll look like, whatever. I got to look the part a little bit.
Bald ass dude with the headband.
It was good. Hey, how good was Stone Cold on your show today?
What?
He was so good. That outfit's incredible.
Zito?
Zito.
He had fucking knee pads on,
bro,
dude.
he wore that.
Oh, he had knee pads on too?
Oh yeah.
They delivered his food today, and he fucking walked outside like that to pick up his food.
I believe the Uber driver or the DoorDash driver said, "What is you doing?"
Yeah.
Is the exact quote.
Rubber, you talk about
in the
Newfies being a different breed. That's like Z. He's like a Newfie type. Like he's his own type of person.
It was unbelievable.
it,
I walked in, he was just sitting on hhis stool, dressed like that, and I started dying laughing. I said, "You look good." He goes, "Oh yeah."
Your video, I don't remember if it was on Instagram or on Twitter, but when you're sitting there and you remember you had your phone and you're like turning it to him and he's saying it like the wrong way, saying what, and you're like, well, you're saying it a little different. Like, dude, that was unbelievable. That's so good.
He's the best. He got retweeted by The Rock last night. He dressed up like Stone Cold today. ZD's having a hell of a run right now.
Big week for ZD.
He deserves it.
That's good, man.
Love that
That's
dude.
Good.
Hey, Phil is sending people to the sin bin in the comment section. Like
now,
lots.
I mean, hey, I'm talking. I saw 3 people get boom, boom, boom from PMS store. I was like, whoa.
He does not
tight
play.
whistle. Tight whistle.
He's boots on the ground. He's in the city. He's got to do his time here.
It was awesome. Loved it.
That's sick. Hey, what do you think? Maybe we get One-Eyed Whitey on here.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From
Yeah,
Let's
it's
get
got
up.
to be
From
from
one-eyed
the
Whitey's
bar.
headphones
Yeah.
on, everything. We need the alarm clock of the alarm headphones on. We want him all the way in from
Is he
one-eyed
still
Whitey's.
in that house?
No, I think he's moved. He lives in Jersey though.
Ah.
I see him every once in a while.
Probably a legend. What do you 2-3 cups with him?
2 cups, man. He had like Pat. I don't know if you know who Lou Lamoriello is, but he's like the godfather of GMs, right? The
Sounds
stories
like
with him. There's documentaries out there. Like this guy, back when not to go down that avenue, but back when Russia used to not allow the hockey players to leave. Like you couldn't.
yeah.
Like if they left
Malkin.
to play. Yeah, if they left to play in the United States, like I played with Sergei Fedorov, and these guys had to send money home to protect their families. It was crazy stuff. And just to go play hockey. This isn't even like political.
Hey, didn't Malkin have to hide for like a year?
I don't know. I don't know about Gino.
It was like a couple weeks. And his was from like the team and stuff like that.
league.
What Rupper's talking about is like back in the day, Lou Lamoriello, like they were dealing with like the military. And
Yeah.
Oh, so not the league. They're dealing with actual.
Yeah. So what he would do, and there's Nick, we were talking about this, weren't we? There's there's a few different. There's the Russian 5, that documentaries, which is sick.
Pat, you love documentaries. You should actually watch
Pat,
one of these.
I'll for real,
amazing.
you guys, I'll send them, and I'll let honestly, I'm not like, I'll post them and just tag you guys in it. Those ones, they are incredibly crazy stories about how the Russians had to get smuggled over here, basically. And this Lou Lamoriello, who's the GM in New Jersey, for all the years, he was like, he would like go behind like enemy lines, and he's like sneaking these guys out of the country and winning cups, and all. It is nuts. Anyways,
How's the Gabagool?
Yeah, that's him too, Lou Lamoriello. Anyways, where the fuck was I going with this? Oh, Whitey. So Whitey is playing in training camp there, and I heard this story where he's in Lou's office. And the way that worked at that time, like, the way training camp would work in hockey, it's like they'd have the first release of players to go to the minors or go back to junior hockey or whatever, and it was a big chunk. Like maybe you had 45 guys released on the first thing. Like, all right, and those guys didn't get individual meetings, but then there's maybe like the team and then 6 other players that they're still trying to figure out. And you have the last couple preseason games, and they're trying to figure that out. I mean, a lot of stuff we see on Hard Knocks, it's the same thing as that. Like, it's kind of trickle down effect, and it gets harder and harder. And then those meetings are a little more personal, right? Like the guys who just miss it, the last cut. And Whitey was supposed to make the team as a defenseman, and he got sent down. And he goes into Lou's office, and I heard there's like players outside, because they're like, all right, you 3 are going to go get sent down to the minors. You go meet with Lou. He wants to talk to each one of you before you go. So the other players were waiting outside the office, and Whitey goes in there. And apparently Whitey wasn't very happy about being sent down, didn't think he deserved it. And he picked up a chair and threw it across the room. Not at Lou. He wasn't doing that. He just threw it across the room. He's like, it's basically, not to give another give another fucking major league analogy. Remember when Ricky Vaughn gets the red tag or the pink tag in the locker?
Oh yeah.
And who was messing with them? Was it Harris pitcher?
Yeah, it was Dorr.
Oh, Dorn. That's right.
Third baseman. Yeah.
So Dorn tags him, and he goes in the office. He goes in the office and loses shit. So he goes in there, he's throwing chairs around, like throwing a chair around and yelling, "This is bullshit." And from that day forward, Lou's like, "This is my guy. I want this guy in the team." And he was there for a long time, had a great career, because he showed like he had that, like he wanted someone with that emotion.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Until we try that, get this motherfucker out of here. This guy's never gonna play this league again.
I would like this guy arrested too. That's awesome.
All right, Rupper, what are you giving away? Something from your archive collection? Something from one of your friends?
Hey, Marty B was cool, by the way. That guy was cool.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
a good dude.
Awesome,
Great dude.
Man.
Will he ever wear that mask, you think? Like, if you guys would have asked, would he have put a mask on there?
I thought about it. I
I kind of wanted to ask him about all those masks. I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Real art. Same skates,
nice
20
photo.
years, not superstitious.
That's ridiculous.
Just a little, huh? Great.
That's silly.
2 rolls of tape every time he steps on the ice. Not superstitious.
Right.
That was awesome. You said that's kind of superstitious.
Yeah, that seems a little bit, but
20 years, dude.
He's a goalie, man.
That's
They're weirdos.
insane.
let's go. I don't have any jerseys currently. That might be a little bit. I gotta try to, maybe down the road I'll get a couple in a box or something. But let's go with how about what are we laughing at?
I just thought you had something there for sure.
No, I have stuff. I have stuff.
No,
but
I thought you had an idea though. Listen, I do this live on the air.
Yeah, let's do something. Like, I don't know, but see, I don't know. I overthink it because I'll be like, oh, I got some I have like a Penguins hat I could sign and get out there.
Or a signed stick. Signed stick.
Stuff. The signed stick is a goddamn nightmare.
It's tough to ship. Dude,
you'll deliver it. No, you said you were gonna deliver it to their door. Shake their hand.
Hey, don't do
the one
that.
that won the fella that won the stick. I still haven't even gotten him the stick yet because I went to go take it in and the post office looks at me like I'm a fucking idiot. They're like,
hey, get one of those little baby sticks. Let's get a little living room knee hockey stick.
I'm like, I walk in, dude. This stick is taller than me, so it's like the stick is 6'6", and I walk into the post office. I walk in the post office and I go, I want to send this. Like, where do you want to send that? I'm like, here's the address. I think it's in Massachusetts. And they're like, I'm like, do you guys have a box for it? They're like, do we have a hockey stick shaped box? No, we don't have that. So I'm still working on that. I think my best bet is I'm gonna have to like bubble wrap the shit out of it, Marty Baron tape job on it all the way around the toe of the stick, and I think I'll just send it like that. So if I can figure out how to actually do this, I'll give away more sticks because I got sticks, and that's a cool thing for people to get. But right now, let's stay away from the stick department. But
what about a bucket? You got a bucket?
What about a puck? You got a puck?
I got a puck, but is that let's do a
you got a helmet? You got an old helmet. You got an old helmet.
That guy, you let him keep his bucket, dude. We got a deck hockey.
Send the bucket, dude. Bubble wrap the bucket.
Hey, we got a deck hockey. Is that deck hockey game happening, by the way?
Hey, you know what I actually have? Oh, I would love it. You know what I actually have? It's hilarious. This actually would be great.
Rupper's gonna
this is what we're gonna go with.
This is what we're gonna go with. Strap, dude.
I have a Mike Rupp bobblehead. Hold on.
No, not now.
But they took a picture. They took a picture from junior. It's from when I played in Erie in the OHL. They took a picture that they made the bobblehead off of that was like when I had hair and it was like really thin. So it's hilarious looking, this fucking bobblehead. You got it. Like, it's incredible. It's like
I'll put it on my desk.
It's like a bobblehead with like a comb over. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And no beard. It doesn't look anything like me. It's incredible. So
we need that for the desk.
We need that for the desk. We can't give that away.
I got like 15 of them in my closet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's give one away. All right, let's give one of those away.
Let's give one of those away, and I'll send you guys some.
That's great. We need that. That thing will live forever until Connor knocks it over, probably. Bad guy.
I don't know. Hey, until you. What did you break a while back taking a shot? That was incredible.
Nah. Thank you. I put a hole right through a poster.
That was AJ. Was that AJ's poster?
Yeah, right through his chest. Right through the
heart.
5 and the O.
Right through his heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was left-handed. Who knows if I'm a lefty or righty, to be honest.
Yeah, let's go that. We'll go bobblehead.
All right, here we go.
All right. The question tonight for a Erie Otters, Michael Rupp, having hair, no beard.
May not look like it, but it is. I promise. It says Mike Rupp on it.
Okay, you're going to autograph it as well, right?
Yes.
All right. I think this is an easy question. I think you guys will get this.
Oh,
here we go.
I picked some pretty hard ones. I think this is
the last one was hard as shit.
It was.
I messed that one up though. My bad, boys.
Dumpy was pretty sure too. I mean, we there's been a couple different times where we've had differing opinions, but Nick does make this difficult. Nick does.
Yeah.
Have we wished his fiance happy birthday yet? Have you guys done that?
Oh. No, we have not.
Listen,
guy.
she's had
I
a
forgot
day.
to do that on our show.
She's
I
gotten
felt like a bad
everything.
guy.
The house was decorated when she came home. She got an ice cream cake. Okay, this isn't that's birthday talk. That's hockey talk.
Gentlemen.
Whoa.
Wow, what a
Well,
guy.
she deserves it. She's the best.
Oh,
Good
What a
recovery.
guy.
Good
hey,
recovery.
grazie.
What a guy. Good for
Yes.
you.
Well,
Good for
tell
you.
tell the missus happy birthday, please.
I will be
Happy
sure to do
birthday.
that. I think she's probably asleep right now, but I will be sure to do that.
Hey, wake up, car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's her birthday. Happy birthday.
Hey, it's a school night, though. You know, it's
Oh,
still
you're
school
right,
night.
you're right. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready?
Sorry.
In 2017, Penguins winner Jake Gensel tied the NHL record for most points by a rookie in one playoff season.
Hell yeah.
How many points did he score?
Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me?
Multiple choice. A, 15. B, 17. C, 19. D, 21.
How many?
This is-
What year was this?
It's easy.
In 2017.
They won the cup that year.
Sure did.
And you're
He was on
talking about-
Sid's line,
you're
dude. It
talking
was
about just
awesome.
you're talking about the playoffs.
Just the playoffs. Most points by a rookie in one playoff season.
Hey, do you remember that, Rupp? I mean, he was scoring every shift. It
He
felt
was
like.
here. The thing about Jay Gensel that was, we could say this now because he's come full. He is a complete player where he's scoring all the time now. But there was a stretch there the first 2 years. He was a much better postseason player than he was regular season player.
Yeah.
Like his numbers weren't outstanding. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but they weren't like Gensel playoff. Playoff was like ridiculous how good he was. I'm going to go. It's definitely, what'd you say, 17, what?
19, 21, 15,
15, 17, 19, 21.
It's got to be one of the higher ones, and I'm leaning towards 21.
21?
Actually, 21.
21 feels
Usually-
like
all right, so
they're
that
not going
year-
to give it. They're not going to give it the highest. It won't be the highest.
In the question?
I'm kind of agreeing with
Yeah.
you on that. But so Sid won the Conn Smythe. Do you have any idea what he finished with? Because I don't think
Ooh.
Jake Gensel was in conversation for the
Who the
Conn Smythe.
fuck knows this? Like, who would
yeah,
know?
wouldn't
This?
fucking know this fucking
It-
playoff.
the numbers
it-
are too close. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Hold on, say him again.
it's definitely not
15, 17, 19, 21.
I'm going
So
with
that
C there.
These motherfuckers are dude,
19?
that's like that. No, man, this is stupid. This is like
This
when you
is
go.
not. It's not fifth. It's not 15 or 21. It's 17 or 19.
This
But
is
what
like
is-
when you go to. This is like when you go buy a phone and they're like, "All right, here you go. This phone costs this. If you, but you can get another fucking, 50 gig of memory for, $20 more." Then they put it in a way like you have to go higher. You have to go higher.
Can't be 15. Has to be at least 17 or 19. 21 is like the obvious because it's the most. What's the phrasing of the question again?
In 2017, Penguins winger Jake Gensel
Winner.
he was a winner.
He
Tied
was.
the NHL record for most points by a rookie in one playoff season. How many points did he
19.
score? 15,
Who'd he tie with?
17, 19, 21.
Who'd he tie for the record? What
Dude,
the
that looks so
fuck
cool.
Are you doing, Rupper?
It's,
Why didn't you do this with Marty B on?
It's a ruler that's green, so it looks like I'm kind of have sweet shades on, but it's
You
can't
look
really
like
see it in
that
my hand.
reading rainbow guy.
Star
Um,
Trek.
Yeah,
it's gonna be either 19 or 21. I guarantee you that. So I don't know what you guys are leaning with.
How many points is normal? Like, do you know how much the
Normal, like
series?
the Conn Smythe, the MVP of the playoffs, is generally speaking mid to late
20
20s.
points.
Here, I'll tell you what Sid had in
Yeah, tell me what he had, and that will be able to give us something.
Sid at what? 25.
in 16-17. Sid had 27 points.
So it's got to be 21, right?
So what do you have in? What do you
19.
have in 18 that you're saying?
In 15,
Sid.
16, he
What
had
year are you talking
19.
here?
Wait. No,
What
tell us
year are
what
we?
Sid had.
What
in
year's the
18.
question on?
I told you
18.
27 is what Sid had.
Oh, in 18
But
he had
Gensel,
27.
so Gensel wasn't in the talk at all.
For Conn Smythe?
Yeah.
I think maybe
No.
there was a
I think it was
mention of it, but
I think it was Kessel. Kessel was in that discussion.
So there was Crosby and Kessel, then Gensel.
So maybe at 15 or 17.
No, he had
I
more
think
than that.
19. I think 19's the hill to die on.
I'm thinking 21.
Golly.
Not the
originally
highest.
Here's
Can't
my
be the highest. Can't be the highest, dude.
So here's what I'm thinking. Because they're only giving us, they're not giving, there's no it's 2-point increments, right? So it's so fucking stupid to know that. So it's got to be the highest one. They're not gonna fuck with you that hard. They're not gonna be like,
they are.
Why
dude.
would they
No,
say
they're
the
not gonna mess
highest
with
and
that
then it
hard.
be the highest answer?
No,
Yeah.
I think. Why do I think it's gonna be the highest answer?
Yeah, why would they do that?
Because the increments it's too close in the other.
Who's the
increments
author? Who's the author of the trivia book?
Ken Reggett.
Ray Walker.
Some new
Ray.
Ken Reggett.
Ken Reggett last week.
Let's go. 21. Come on,
No,
boys, trust me. Let
it's
me get
not
back.
the
Let me
highest,
get back.
dude.
Hey, last week was my fault. I got
All
you
right,
guys
hey.
back. It's 21.
No,
All right,
no,
well,
it's not the
I'll rise with you, Rob.
highest. I want nothing to do with this.
All right.
What?
You send
You
this
have my
fucking
back?
bobblehead either way. There's no way it's the highest, dude.
Gumpy, we're at One-Eyed Whitey's right now. All right, pal. We don't want to be drinking what we're drinking, but somebody ordered it. Okay. So here we are, and they're very confident, and this is a camaraderie building thing. Okay.
Terrible hill to die on.
We have said our piece. Rupp is loud. Very loud. All right,
I wish somebody would have told me about the newspaper thing that was dumb. So I'm telling Rucker, it's not fucking 21.
He
I've already
wishes that
two
we would have been a
losses.
friend to him, so he is to us
Yeah.
right now.
We going final answer?
What do you think, Gumpy?
19. It's fucking 19.
What do you think, Pat?
Why?
No, are you with me?
I mean, if are you still as confident in 21 as you've ever been?
I mean, I'm like 50% sure.
What?
Oh, what the fuck is that?
Well, if I'm 50% sure on that, then I'm sure as hell a lot lower percentage on the other ones. Fuck.
about
I'm
our-
like Goodwill Hunting here, man. Hang with me. Trust me. We got it. 21.
All right, I'm with Rupp. 21. I'm with you. Sold me. I
All
think
right,
it's probably
Gumpy.
19, but I'm with you.
Gumpy.
It's 9. I'll ride with Rupper, but it's 19.
Majority rules.
That's a
The
bullshit
answer
ride, by the way. Go ahead.
is D 21.
Let's go, Rupp.
Yeah.
21 points for Jake
fuck.
Gensel in
Hey,
the 2016-2017
hold on a second.
NHL playoffs.
I feel
Tied
like-
Dino
I feel-
Cicerelli in 1980.
I feel like I learned a lot about the crew right now, if we're being honest. Pat's like,
What do you
no,
mean?
I think you're dead. Pat's like, I think you're dead wrong, but I'm riding with you. Gumpy's like, I'm gonna ride with you, but you're wrong. That's different. I don't know.
That's the same thing. It's the same thing, just
Not
worded
really.
different. It's the
It
exact
had a
same
different-
thing. We
had
said
a
the
different
exact
vibe.
same thing.
I think it was different.
Yeah, I did say I fucked up. I said the same thing, but it kind of felt different when you said it.
I
know.
understood the vibe though that you were trying to explain it from.
Like,
Pat's always
Pat
been
was
like
like-
that. Pat's a big team guy. Like, hey,
Yeah,
hey,
if
listen,
we're gonna lose, let's
Oh,
do it
don't
together.
fucking say
I'm a
not
big team.
team
I'm a glue
guy.
guy. You know what I mean? I'm a glue guy. Hey,
Don't-
this is a
don't.
bad
I'm not
idea.
saying I'm not saying you're not a team guy, Gums. I'm just like you eventually came around to it too. Like, all right, if we're all gonna do it, let's do it.
Hey,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Good
I
job,
will,
Rupper.
Yes, thank you. I will show you. I will get out that bobblehead and show you guys.
And a
It's-
stick.
It's freaking hilarious. But anyways,
Which reminds us, good point. Take a screenshot at some point of you watching the episode tonight. Tweet at us with hashtag That's Hockey Talk, and you will enter into the pool. Someone will be randomly selected to win the Mike Rupp autograph bobblehead from his Erie Otter days.
Rupp, you're in that one, buddy.
Yeah.
there we go.
Good job, Rupper.
It's a good night, fellas. Good
Fucking
night.
MVP performance right there.
Hey,
That was
we got
that was Stanley. That was Stanley Cup game-winning goal right there, Rupper.
we've got 5 days. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now in sports. 5-day trade deadline. Next week's show is going to be a banger because we're going to know what teams swung for the fences for the big home run ticket into the playoffs, man. It's going to be fun. Going to be fun. See what the pesky Pens do. See what the Rangers are going to do. See what Carolina, Florida's already been doing stuff.
Stars, Texas
Carolina's
hockey.
been doing stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, dude.
Pens better fucking do something. All right, I'm sick of watching my teams do nothing.
They'll do something.
I'm doing that with the Colts right now, bro.
They'll do something, man. They'll be something.
I mean,
Hey,
you
what
assume.
is never mind. I don't want to talk about that. It's a sore subject with me. Go ahead.
Your boy.
Oh
I know,
no!
you know where I'm going.
Oh, not the Brad.
No.
He wrote a notes
He
screenshot.
goes, I
notes
don't know.
section.
Huh?
It was a screenshot of a notes section. Baker, Reagan, Mayfield. Appreciate you. See you later.
Yeah.
Saying his goodbyes.
Goodbye, Cleveland.
This fucking sucks, dude.
You're mad about this?
Until there's someone else, yeah. What do you mean?
They're saying maybe Jimmy G to Cleveland. I didn't even think about that.
How does it work though in football if you have too many new faces? Like that, is it just like every other sport? Like it doesn't just mean you're gonna find some rhythm, dude.
Yeah. Unless the team strikes gold, right? Like you think of Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their first year all together, they went.
Yeah.
The Rams, first year
That's
all together,
true.
basically, they kind of went. It just depends on who it is.
Well, now that you got me thinking here, Gumpy, let me ask you guys this. I'm sure all the fans here are really dying for this information about the Browns. So I know someone that was like telling me, he's like, dude, you guys are signing like dome receivers. Like, what are you doing? Like, is that a thing? Like these dudes didn't play in domes their whole lives. Like they can play in the snow, they can play in cold weather, can't they? Or is there a such thing as a dome receiver in the NFL?
I mean, there's dome players, I think, like people that are better in the warm, like Michael Irvin.
Would that be more for like a quarterback?
No, Michael Irvin told me a story on his podcast that he was lying to the Green Bay Packers before the draft that he was going to go back to school. So if they drafted him and he chose to go back to school at that time, they wasted their draft pick and they were like pick 7 or something because he didn't want to go to cold ass Green Bay, is how he said. He knew Dallas would pick him up at like pick 11 or 12 or something like that. He was like, so I lost money, but I knew Dallas was a lot warmer than Green Bay at the time or whatever. So there is like a thought to like the Florida boys, the Southern boys, like that is a real thing, and like when the cold comes out, it's almost, like a celebration the first couple times.
Yeah. It's like it's cool, but then it's not something to do. It's not something to do, 8 times a year.
But also there's the amount of guys that it really affects, I think, is small. Like I think a lot of guys have the enough mental toughness to get over it.
That was like everyone used to say that about the Colts, Pat, like when it was like Reggie and Marvin, and they'd go into New England and they had to play in the snow and they couldn't win forever, and then they finally beat them, and then you kind of stopped hearing that.
Yeah, but
maybe that I could see. I don't know. I could see that. Never played football, but like I could see that for like maybe like a running back, like someone like Barry Sanders. Like how would Barry Sanders ever play in like? I mean, he played in that division though, so he had to play out there.
Yes,
you know what I mean. But
football, you're gonna get hit. Football's like you're gonna get hit anyways in most of those positions. So like cold definitely affects it, but like the D line is where you'll see some guys really turn it down because that's they're banging heads every single play with a bunch of normal just offensive linemen are just like the most gritty group of people on earth. Like, I
love those dudes. Those dudes in the cold weather, they got their jerseys tucked up under their shoulder pads. They don't give a shit.
Well, and they like it when it's cold because everybody's slower, so they're faster. It's like the offensive line love it. So like I think the D line is the position that maybe like gets in the most trouble if they're not used to the cold weather. But man, NFL guys are tough enough, I think, mentally tough enough to get through it.
Well, give me some good news on my Browns next week, please.
I see a lot of people are saying them moving on from Baker Mayfield's good news. So I'm like interested that you are,
I don't know. Like I
don't say that, by the way.
I get it. It's Cleveland. It's Cleveland. But here's the thing, and this is why I wanted Johnny Football to work too, is that Cleveland needs swagger. Cleveland hasn't had swagger for a long time. There's been no reason for swagger. So that's why I was hoping that Johnny Manziel was going to work out, just because I literally was like, I was so pumped with my buddies when we got Johnny Manziel. I wanted this one time at Heinz Field. One time. Not to be, no, but hold on. Not to
Never got it.
disrespect, but not to disrespect
It's all
necessarily
time.
the Steelers, but just to get a
Oh, look at
get the
Frank.
fuck out of here. Just to get a little more just to get like some more fuck you back in their game. You know what I mean? And it never happened with him. So Baker comes in. Baker's got some swagger to him. And, you know, if he's not there, like, what the fuck? Do you think Jimmy G wants to play in Cleveland? You know, I don't know.
No.
I don't know if Baker actually wanted to, but he sounded like he did.
The thing about Baker is who knows how, like, he was so banged up last year. That's my only thing.
He's gonna come be great for the Colts. Don't worry about it. We need a little swagger.
I honestly think I think he would be good with the Colts.
Put it this way though, I am a Baker fan. If he leaves, I ain't gonna be shitting on him like we were talking about, you know, Jack Eichel earlier or whatever, or any other superstar or player that goes anywhere else. I'm not gonna. I like him. I'll be a fan. So if he goes there, I'll root for the Colts casually.
Matt Ryan would be good in the cold too, I imagine.
Yeah, when I think of quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns, I think Matt Ryan. That's a perfect.
Hey, Boston College, Matty Ice. I don't know. I'm intrigued. There's a lot of shit that has to be figured out, dude. I mean, I just watched a press conference with Russell Wilson wearing a 3-piece suit and answering every word perfectly. And I'm like, some people thought Seattle won that trade. And I listened to that guy speak, and I'm like, oh, God damn, why could he not be for the Colts right now? Like, that would be amazing. Deshaun Watson's making his decision here in the next couple of days, allegedly. Jay Glazer said he thinks tonight or tomorrow. Then Florio reported, there's no timetable. He's very conflicted because he was so impressed by everybody. I mean, there's just so much shit right now in the NFL. I assume the NHL, does that happen quick or no?
Yeah, usually the NHL, I mean, usually free agency is
damn near over in a day.
The first 2 days, it's pretty much good.
How many agents? Same agents?
How many agents?
Yeah, like in the NHL. Is it like?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like anywhere else. Like there's the power agents, and then there's a lot of agents though. But then you get the power agents that they got, and some of the guys like the big name guys, they can wait it out because they know that they're going to get their money, and they'll make teams sweat it, which clogs up the market and does all that stuff. But yeah, no, it's usually in the first 2 days, like it's pretty well situated.
Hey, I felt like the biggest asshole of all time. I got a text from another punter that was going to be a free agent when I was going to be a free agent. It was like, is there any way you could potentially make your decision, relatively quicker than slower for the rest of us or whatever? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm not even going to hit the market, but I appreciate you telling me this. This was really cool. Like I felt, I felt really cool in this moment here. Like that was the thing. But there's some guys that do. Like they're in some positions, I'm not saying like punter, but in some positions they're like, I want to weigh out all my options. And then there's just like some guy who's just trying to get another gig, just sitting there like, God damn it, will you fucking figure it out? I'm trying to figure out my life. It's crazy.
It is nuts though, man. Yeah.
Look at this guy. Look at this fucking guy.
Shout out Chuck.
What's up?
Post it up.
Dude, just chilling. We took him on a walk and he almost, he's fat. Hey, good work by you, Rupper. Way to get 21, pal.
Not a baby, Rupp. Never doubted you. Never doubted you.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
We appreciate everybody in the chat. Thanks so much for following along. We appreciate Marty Baron for jumping on with us, taking a good bit of time.
What was the hashtag that they posted the photo with?
That's Hockey Talk.
All right.
We appreciate Patty for jumping on here to close it out with us, as always.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys. It was a blast. Good show. Marty Baron, I learned a lot about that guy. Dude, how about that 2-month run when he was winning 13 games? His life was miserable.
Miserable.
Can't even enjoy it.
Side note, because I got to redeem myself in the slap shot competition because Phil made me look like a bitch, and all you guys did shooting it. So I got to redeem myself. Hey, just throwing it out there, when you guys get to those points where you're going to make some decisions with the Igloo, I got a guy that's got synthetic ice for you.
Yes.
Just saying. If you want to
What's
go down
that?
that avenue,
outside?
Let me know.
Is that outside or inside?
Could be anywhere.
It could be anywhere.
You put skates
anywhere,
Good.
zero maintenance. You can wear skates. You can wear sneakers.
It's like plastic.
What?
It's plastic, and you use real skates on it. It actually feels great. And You some are different where you just have them. You know how you see like the guys come that treat your lawn and they got the little backpack with a sprayer. They have like that every 30 days you just give a light little dusting on that and it's good.
What is this like?
That's just like you use it every day. You don't have to. There's like zero maintenance. It's beautiful.
Is this like vaporizer? Like what are they like spraying? It's just creating.
It's like sealant.
It's like a sealant. It's like a plastic sealant that just fills in the cracks. But there's no crack. I think that was like how it used to be. I think it's evolved to the point now where you don't have to touch shit. So
we're putting clap bombs on the ice in the parking lot.
The stick handling and puck work feels just like the ice. The skating feels a little bit different than regular skating, just because you got to dig in a little bit more. But it's pretty sick. Just saying.
What's like a day rate for just some goalie?
Sure, Marty B would come in.
You just want to rent a goalie for a day?
Oh, let's
just daily, yeah. Like not just a day. Like maybe one day we want to go out there and fire some pucks, but also like Zito's the only guy that ever says goalie. But I don't want Zito just eating pucks every day.
You're
like,
right.
I don't mind throwing the pads on, to be honest.
I love it.
I always played goalie street hockey. I was fucking Dominic Hasek sliding at shins out there.
This is on the ice, pal. This isn't fucking
doesn't matter. Give me a fucking baseball glove. I'm good, dude.
Yeah, right, dude. Wait till these clap bombs are coming into your face. You'll be regretting that decision.
I wouldn't mind breaking Gumpy's hand in a baseball glove with a puck.
Good luck, dude.
What's that all about?
Good fucking luck.
Gump, I don't want to break your shit, but I am saying like I'm gonna find the net.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying I'll throw the pads on if need be. I ain't scared.
Well, I appreciate it, but I'd like to see you take some shots too. That's the problem. Like the person that's in goal doesn't get to do the,
Yeah, you got to find a selfless individual to step in that net.
Z did pretty good against Umberger, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did all right. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
He showed up.
Yeah, but those NHL guys, like even the guys that aren't like the most proficient shooters, like you motherfuckers can just like put the puck right where you want it. Like that's insane to me. Obviously, it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work, but that's the difference, I think, right, between the NHL guys and all of us.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean,
like amateur goalies, you guys are going to slice and dice, even the best shooters, but the NHL guys are just going to be able to kill any amateur goalie if they wanted to.
Oh yeah. The only thing that makes it tough, actually, to be honest with you, is when the moves you make and the things you're selling, their reaction time is so much slower that sometimes they make the save. You know what I mean? Like if you go to dip the shoulder and then just pull it to your backhand and go upstairs, it's like you do that. The goalie's supposed, in normal NHL goalies, they're supposed to go down because they will go down if they bite it. But these guys are like
a lot of stops going the opposite.
They're either like not in shape, too lazy to drop down, or just too slow to do it. Then you shoot it, hits the shoulder. You're like, what the fuck? You saved that because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. That's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah, Umberger though started like really controlling his shot. I mean, he started like
it's pretty. You could pretty much pick your spots,
That's awesome. That's what we're going to be like.
Oh, and except when you're on NHL Network in a suit, then you can't do shit.
Nah, you're too hard. You're hosting. You're hosting, making everybody else feel good.
We'll get you there, Rupper. Don't worry.
We'll get it going, but yeah, we got to book that.
CFO Phil is probably already fucking buying that synthetic ice for the fucking.
Hopefully.
I'll send it to you guys. Whatever, dude. Look at it. I don't know. You guys
send us an invoice, Rob.
I think we're going to do it. I assume we're going to do it.
No, man. I talked to this dude before. He's like, I'll set him up. I don't know what setup means, but that sounds like interesting to me. I don't know.
In the summer, this works?
Everywhere it works. All times.
Yeah, it's just like a little plastic.
Yeah, you know what they are? You know how you have like those puzzle piece looking rubber mats that some people put in like a gym floor, you know what I mean? It's basically like they have different sizes. There could be a 6-foot square and it has those like puzzle square the corners. Not the corners, the sides, and they just go into each other, and they use a mallet and hammer them together, so there's like no seams, and that's what it is. So you get like you can get like there's some on their website. They have some that like You can get one that's 12 feet by 12 feet, or you could put a whole rink in if you wanted. It's
People are
expensive if you
skating?
do a whole rink, but what's that?
People are skating on this.
Yeah.
I'm running sprints on this thing on the ice on my skates in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Fucking
Slide.
Bombay Park is limo on it.
It's pretty sick. What'd you say?
Fucking Bombay Park is limo on it.
Can I spray? How do you stop?
Just like you normally do.
Man,
I gotta check this out. This is
I don't
insane to
understand
me.
how it's real.
No, I mean,
I don't get the physics.
I know it exists. I don't understand how it works either.
Oh, I don't know that shit. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, I'll see you.
All right, boys.
All right,
Until
bro.
next week, we'll get some trades to react to. Thank you again, Pat. Thank you, Marty Baron. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for watching live. Thank you guys who can't watch it live and listen to it in podcast format or catch the
thank
replay.
you.
We appreciate you as well.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for rocking with us, and we'll see you next week. And that's Hockey Talk.